What's up? We are live. Make sure I got my comments pulled up.
Okay, mine are not. I feel like
well, I will man the comments.
Okay, yeah, I can. This is my first.
I can pop them up on the. I can pop them up on the stream. We got Vera says she's gonna watch the replay. Appreciate that very much.
Sweet.
We got Tyler here who's excited. All right. Let's go. Here we go. For anyone watching, thank you for being up here. Andrew's here. What's up, man? Thank you. I'm here with my buddy Chance.
What's going on, Andrew?
Alex is here.
Nice, dude. Iskandar. I've been saying that so wrong for literally 3 months.
That's why I just say Alex now.
Yeah, Alex is so much easier.
But yeah, man, I've been very excited for this. As I said when I kind of scheduled the stream, which I think people can see the way that I typed that out, was that you were like, you and Chris from Bearded Book Beast have been like the two first friends that I made on YouTube here, which has just been, John from Talking Story always talks about how life-changing this has been for him and how amazing it's been in the community, and just, goes on. And I cannot agree more, dude. This has just been amazing, and it's so fun. And it's so crazy how you can just go put random stuff on the internet, just out into the ether, talk about books or whatever, and all of a sudden you make friends after a couple weeks or whatever. Like, it's super cool. So
it's wild. It's cool. Yeah. It's cool that I got into reading so late in my life. And by the way,
number three friend.
Oh yeah. Because Alex, I think of Mr. Iskandari himself. I think he was technically, legally speaking, the first friend that I've made in the. And again, it comes from John from Talking Story. Yep. And like getting connected with everybody. Yeah, it's just it's so cool. And like, it's hard for me to harness, and like, I'll be talking about it and I'm just like in disbelief. And it's like, it feels like anything I'm a part of has to be sort of small because I'm a part of it. And so I have this like self-limiting belief of that. And then and then we're just in this thing together, and it's really cool to talk to people about things that we like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's crazy. It's so funny because I think back to like high school, right? And I was always that kid who I just wanted to fit in. I wanted to have friends, and I didn't know how to do it. And I just was so awkward and uncomfortable all the time. Same. And then now as an adult, and I just embrace, like, just talk about I like books. I like D&D. I like Yu-Gi-Oh. I like whatever. I'll just talk about this stuff. And you make friends when you're not even trying. And it's funny how that works. You just be genuine.
Girls used to make fun of me for playing World of Warcraft in 7th grade, and I was like, you know what? It's fine. I was just like owning it at the time. I was like, I got a level 60 paladin. Like, it is what it is. That's all that matters,
Let me latch onto that for just a second, because I was always a RuneScape kid.
Oh, I love RuneScape.
I tried to get into WoW, and it was just the increase in skill level to play that game was just enough that it put me off, and I never went back. Yeah. And my friends recently convinced me to upgrade my computer because my computer was old 10 years ago when I got it. And so
nice.
It was time. And they set me up with something that can be like, hey, you can play games on this. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little tempted to try WoW
back into it. You should get into, I think WoW Classic is going to be a little bit more accessible. I haven't played it. I played it like probably a little after my surgery with my buddy, because he's in Florida. And him and I were very much into RuneScape when we were in the military together. We like made characters. We would like sit in our barracks rooms, and this is 2021. Mm-hmm. And there was like 3 of us. We would throw on quest tutorials. We like got our memberships. We were playing OSRS, like the old school RuneScape, but at the time on our phones, and really diving in. And I mean, like, to the point of it caused problems in my like personal life. Like, just like I cannot play video games again just because I have such an addictive personality. It's like tough. This, like, my girlfriend's in Scotland, or like Europe. I don't think she's in Scotland anymore. I should know where she is. And she's coming back Friday. And I told her for like the 2 weeks that she was gone, I was like, I'm going to download the Elden Ring DLC and I'm just going to play it endlessly. And I ended up like taking myself out of the house and not playing video games. And I strongly regret it. That said, you going back into playing and trying World of Warcraft, I highly recommend. When's the last time you played like an MMO?
Oh, dude, well, that's not fair. I played a little bit of RuneScape a couple years ago for like a few months, and I was like, I need to focus on like academia.
Yeah.
But after beyond that, like it's been a long time since I haven't been like a gamer in a long time. But I miss it. I grew up playing tons all the time, and I'm just like I miss it so much, dude. I want to go back, and stuff like Elden Ring or Baldur's Gate or all that kind of stuff. I know is just gonna suck all of my time away. Baldur's Gate it's video game D&D, right? So like it's just another
exactly.
We'll be able to talk about that soon, Tyler. I promise. We're getting there.
I'm always like I'm getting excited in terms of just like I'm as excited as everybody else, I think, and I'm just like, all right, like here we go, and then I'm like, all right, this is Jake's thing. He's got to, we're gonna let him run it how he wants to. As for in terms of like the rollout, obviously we have to iron everything in because it's just technically not. But I'm very excited.
Me too, dude. We're just waiting on getting email confirmation from a couple people. One of whom is on in the chat here who doesn't like to check his email. But
yeah, I was gonna say I didn't want to throw it out there. I was like, hey,
but yeah, we'll get there. And it'll be super cool. I think that's what I've just been trying to say is just like I'm trying not to talk about it too much with specifics, but people are gonna love it, dude, when that comes out.
Yeah, it's like it's so good. It's too good to be true, sort of thing. You don't want to jinx it. Fun. And just being able to, and first of all, to play D&D again after having not played it for years. I don't think I've talked about my specific experience in terms of like the games that we would play, but what happened was kind of like the baby of what I ended up working on was a game I ran where I was like, okay, I want to pin two groups of like 5 or 6 people. And in the military, you just have access to people who want to play D&D for fun. So I was just like, okay, let me totally take advantage of this. Never played before. I initially just got into a game, got into a campaign, which was really fun, just playing characters. And I was like, you know what, let me start building a world a little bit, and just like getting into it. And then I started coming up with these like cool classes and just like playing off of the stuff from 5e. And so I got 2 groups of 8 people, no joke. And we would do it once a week. The first group would come from like 12 to 4 or 5, and the second group would be there from like 5:30 to like 11 or 12 a.m. And we would my goal was to have these 2 people in different continents, and 2 different groups of 8 people were on 2 different continents playing against each other without knowing exactly narratively how, and to get them to converge and have like this, it would be a split, like one group would be a group of 4 would split and they would verse each other in like PvP. So the goal was to like have this giant PvE campaign mold into this. They end up on opposite sides, just in this morally ambiguous, sort of like not dystopian, but I guess post-apocalyptic recovery world. And it was just like, I never got to the point because they went on deployment. We were going to force it and just like kind of get the narratives together. And we just never got to that point. And, it was really upsetting because I was like, man, I really want to see this come true. Like,
we gotta pause for 1 second because we have a beard that has appeared.
There he is.
What is up, man?
What's going on, dude?
Very happy to have you here.
I was telling Jake how bad I am at Instagram messaging, and so yeah, I started handing out my phone number pretty much.
I pulled a number, is what he's saying.
Yeah, exactly.
So how did that time out with you creating like it's Alavist, right?
Oh yeah, here.
Because this is all tied together into your writing and sort of what. So cross that bridge for me, right? So like playing D&D and doing stuff in the military.
Yeah,
picking up this character, leading into writing, all that stuff.
Yeah, he was like my very first D&D character I ever created, and I was just like, I want a backstory, and like, what is this backstory? And I'll say like I like started writing out this backstory and sending it to my buddy who's a DM, and I was like, man, this is kind of like addicting. Like just kind of coming up with these people that don't exist and like making them real. And I went with the Dark Knight Batman, which is like I feel like almost instinctually, if you're creating this type of character and first getting into D&D, that's like what you want to do, and then you find out later that narratively that doesn't add anything to the group, which, I mean, I wanted to have fun, but I also wanted to enable other people to have fun because I get a lot of joy out of that. Because D&D is a lot of improv, and so Alavis was like this character I just had kind of sitting in the ether, and then it kind of just, I was just like, let's just try different character ideas out and just like different personalities, and it really helped me fall in love with the process of storytelling D&D like as a whole. And that's why I think it's like kind of it's crazy how engaging it is, and I'm so excited to get this group of people together to do this for that sake, because it's going to be, it's like, I mean, like you had this experience with D&D yourself where you just have a group of people together and you're figuring stuff out on the run. You have this, like, you don't have to be yourself for whatever it is, 3 or 4 hours. You get to be somebody else, and it's just like addicting.
It's so fun, dude. What's really funny is the last session that I did was last weekend. Yeah, last weekend. So I was coming off of being sick, which was weird. So I was kind of quiet anyway, but I'm actually playing with one of my PhD advisors in his like friend group, which is so cool.
That's so sick.
So it's cool to see that different side of him too, right? And just see him in like super nerd mode. And what I love about it too is that the group that's playing, and then it's professional DMs. So I do have to pay to play with them. That's how they make their money, right? But
I've always been curious about that.
Yeah, so they have that, but the DMs and the whole group of players have been playing for like 20, 30 years. So their level of knowledge off the top of their head is insane. So it's like I walk up and I'm getting ready to join. I'm thinking about characters, and they're like, "What kind of stuff do you want to be able to do?" And I'm thinking about that, and they're like, "Well, if you want this, you could choose this class, because at this level you get this spell and you get this many spell slots and you get this thing, and then you can choose that item and you get this thing." And I'm just like,
the item stuff, dude,
crazy.
It's absolutely crazy. So wait, your character now in that main campaign, I know it's a warlock, right? So
I have 2, right? So I have in my sort of IRL friends thing is a warlock.
Okay, that's the one I remember.
He's fun because I just spam Eldritch Blast and just it's just fun to do that, right?
Hexblade, or what are we rocking?
Yeah.
Okay, so, I'm a sucker for Hexblade.
That was my first character that I made. So I just leaned into give me like the dark, brooding, emo warlock guy with the cool magic and whatever. And then for this one, I kind of went with like, let me go polar opposite basically, and do something that feels more traditional and more, I don't know, outside the box for me. Because I always go for like the darker characters. So this dude is like super quick backstory, just because it'll make more sense.
Please. I'm all ears. I love hearing about this stuff.
So he, as a kid, really idolized this like gallant hero, like your very traditional fantasy hero that's just out there, saving people and whatever. So he idolizes this dude, and one day his village gets attacked, and the hero shows up to try to save them. And this kid is so excited, about it. He's like, "Oh, it's my hero." So he runs out and he tries to help, but he just kind of gets in the way, and the hero gets killed. So now the kid escapes, but he has this guilt of like, dude, I caused the death of like my idol. So then he swears an oath to sort of take up that mantle and become the new gallant hero who can go out and save people. And he works his whole life to get there, and everyone tells him like, dude, you're too small, you're too weak, you're too whatever. So you have your classic sort of coming of age, overcoming, that stuff. I'm always a sucker. I mean, like Naruto, like I'm a sucker for that kind of underdog story. But then, as he's getting stronger, he's doing this stuff, and he always tries his best. He's really excited to help. He just wants to, he wants so badly to do it, but he's just kind of clumsy. And like, he's not, sometimes he forgets stuff, and, so there's like kind of a silliness to it too, which is really fun. And, but like things always kind of work out. And I made him a human because I got the, you know, crunchy thing for a second. It's like a human variant at level 1, you get an extra
you get the
feat, so I get
feet.
lucky.
Yeah.
So with a lucky feat, that really works into that if I miss an attack, I can roll again. So it's like he stumbled, but like he still did something, you know?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
I like that a lot. That's a cool concept. The stuff
it's
that
fun.
turns the stories that turn narratives kind of on their head are the most appealing to me. Like just having this not, I guess it's not really a paradox, but that to compare to your dark warlock character, like
Yeah.
very, that's, which one do you enjoy playing more? If I had to,
Um,
if you had to choose, can I ask? Are they listening?
yeah, no, it's
Okay.
the the uh the warlock is easier to play because he doesn't talk
Hmm.
much, you know, and he
Yes.
just kind of is
Brooding.
there, is brooding, and you know, which was kind of by design because I'm, you know, funny enough, in real life I'm very shy and introverted, and then when I'm talking to people I don't know as well, it's way easier for me to be out animated and extroverted, and for which makes no sense at all. But
I feel
I
like I'm
have
the
this
same way. Yeah.
constant, yeah, I have this constant fear of judgment of like I do the accent and I do the whatever, and my friends are just like, "That was weird. Where'd that come from?" Which I know they wouldn't do, but I'm always scared
Yeah.
of that. So anyway, so that like by design, I picked somebody who'd be quiet and whatever. But then
Hmm.
for this one, I was like, let me, you know, I want to do that. I want to be that guy. I want to just have fun with it. So I'm trying to get outside the comfort zone a little bit.
That's
So that
awesome.
one's
I
fun.
think that's a really cool way to go about it too. I think anybody out there that ends up eventually listening to this or whatever, I think it's really cool to kind of push yourself out of your comfort zone and just like put yourself in the head of this character. It's not easy.
It's
It's
not, dude. It's harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah,
Um,
it's hard.
and even because you're doing that, but at the same time, Andrew's got to balance. Thank you for showing up, man. Appreciate you.
Andrew, thanks so much, man.
Um, the yeah, fake extrovert. Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. But
Yeah.
it's hard to really be in there in the character while also remembering there's infinite possibilities of what to do in this game. And it's like I'm so used to having rules and like here's your action options, but like you can sort of do anything you want. And it's a weird,
Yeah.
I don't know, my brain's still getting wrapped around it, but
Yeah.
um yeah,
I'm
girlfriend out of
I
town, living the crazy life, talking to a random dude about D&D.
Oh yeah. Oh
There we
yeah.
go.
Living the
You
crazy life.
wild animal, you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm excited for her to get back for sure. Um, I like, it's like you get I like my time alone. I'm the same way. Like in terms of introvert and extrovert in that capacity, I'm very much, I mean, you as a coach, I'm sure you have this too. It's like you do need to be a little bit extroverted with people you don't know when you
Yeah.
first meet them because it's just like you want to feel comfortable, you want them to feel comfortable. It's a give and take, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Never want to have insomnia. Well,
Well, thank you for
welcome
being
to the
here.
conversation. Yeah, thanks so much. That's so funny.
That's hilarious.
Insomnia. No, I feel bad now. Keeping it's just,
You're making it worse. um, but yeah, it's tough, dude, to have to kind of like not fake it, but like you got to really up that energy sometimes.
yes.
It can be tricky.
Yeah, especially when it comes to working out, it's just yeah, I know. And here's the thing is it's not even actually acting as a mic right now because we tried figuring that out before we went live and
You don't need to
I
know.
couldn't.
Shh.
Oh, sorry.
You're
It
breaking the
works
immersion.
it works perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
This
right.
is a
I
very
gotta keep it.
professional setup we got going on
This
here.
is as professional as it gets. This was probably one of my proudest ideas, and so I have to. I don't think he's ever going to watch this. Maybe my old roommate when I was in the military, he got me this lightsaber as a gift.
Oh, cool.
I was blown away. Like, and because we talk about Star Wars all the time, him and I, and Darth Revan's character, and if we're talking about like D&D characters and things like that, or characters in story in any capacity, like Darth Revan is one of the most fascinating characters to me in terms of his battle between light and dark, getting his memory back, and just the balance and the strength. It's just so cool.
Yeah.
You know?
He's a great.
Yeah, it gets even more.
Did you read the book? The Revan book?
No. I have not. I played a lot of Knights of the Old Republic when I was younger.
Mm,
And that was like, and it's so funny. I didn't appreciate it then. And then I got into that MMO, like the Old Republic MMO a little bit and,
yeah.
started doing some research. I watched a lot of lore videos on Star Wars. I'm like, Star Wars is one of my, I would say like if you asked me 5 or 6 years ago, even after like the sequel movies came out, like Star Wars is still probably one of my favorite universes just because of the infinite possibilities that were created from it. Like you could play a TTRPG of Star Wars. Lord of the Rings, I think, cinematic universe in terms of just the movies. I've only seen the first season of Rings of Power, so I can only really speak to that. But like I loved the fantasy aspect of Lord of the Rings, and I love the sci-fi aspect of Star Wars. They're like, to me, they're just like, I know they're very different, but I don't know.
There's something.
Yeah.
There's something about those two things. I'll answer that in 1 second, but just one thought I'm having, because it's like maybe it's just like our age group, but like me and one of my friends had a very similar experience of that. It was like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings are huge. I also had Harry Potter as like a third piece of the tripod. But like I don't know what it is about. Maybe it's just because we grew up with the prequels and then went back to watch the originals and we're like, oh wow, these are great too. And then you just get, whereas the generation before us seems like they're not as favorable to the prequels.
No, I loved the prequel movies. The prequel movies were like you said, we grew up on them. You know what I mean? Hold on, let me. I'm like leaning in like he was during his live stream.
I get it. Yeah.
Oh, calculates every word. Yeah, he's a thinker. I am the I don't calculate much. I gotta just go for it.
Just let it fly.
But as far as the prequels are concerned, I was fortunate that I was watching the VHSs back when I was 5 years old of the older movies. And then the Phantom Menace release, like I remember going to the theaters to see it. I don't remember watching it in theaters, if that makes any sense.
Me too. I had the exact same experience. Yeah.
Episode 3 is absolute peak. Like I think even the people who are like obsessed with the older original films, you have to admit the story in Revenge of the Sith and how it all culminates is just an absolute masterclass. Like so phenomenal. There he is. Brian, what's going on?
Brian, thank you, sir, for being here. Appreciate you.
I need to know, Brian, what your favorite Star Wars film is, because I do you agree? Do you think that Revenge of the Sith is number one, or are you a Empire or Return of the Jedi?
Are you wrong? No.
Are you wrong? Yeah. That's such a good point. In terms of, I guess I saw Tudor Ramble talking with John and Jacob, and they were talking, like Rich and Austin were talking with them about influences and fictional characters. And I love that topic. And being that we're on,
that was a great podcast.
Oh yeah, such a great podcast. And so I'm actually curious, as far as your fictional icons, who would you say would be your number one?
Oh man, I was thinking about this a lot when I was listening to that podcast, and this is hilarious, by the way. But
EV. Man, that's so funny.
No, wow, the cantina is pretty scary.
That cantina scene. Yeah, I mean, I get it. There's I can't imagine being 7, hearing that like laser go off under the table and like keeping your cool, or like Ben Kenobi walking up to the bar, just like all of that stuff, just the tension for like a kid,
This is I've only read a handful of the Legends books, but I liked all of them a lot. Revan was great. Deceived was great with what's his name? Malgus.
Is that Malgus?
Yeah. And then I read Malgus. Yeah. He's another one that's very conflicted, light and dark.
Yeah.
And then Red Harvest was cool too. It was like a zombie apocalypse story in Star Wars.
So okay. That I didn't know. I feel like I have to get into that. I heard the Thrawn trilogy is very good.
Me too. Yeah, I got a long list of stuff, but
I haven't read any of, which is crazy because, like, again, I found reading so late. I have not read any of the Star Wars stuff, and it's all I want to do. And I find myself pouring into these other fantasy books, and I'm just like, oh man, I always am like, oh, I should really get to those Star Wars books at some point.
Yeah,
like,
they're fun.
I'm fascinated by them.
I think they're a solid like palate cleanser because there's so many of them are really short. But then there's just so many of them, it's overwhelming. So I keep kind of putting more of them off.
It is. Yeah, there's a lot of people, like there's some booktubers that are like really, I'm forgetting his name, and I wish I remembered it. But he talks a lot about the Star Wars books, and just hearing his thoughts on Legend stuff, it gets me more excited to read it. And then also there's this like grounding piece of it where he's just like, not everything's perfect, but it's Star Wars,
Yeah.
So wait,
I
we
used
had
to
to get
play
back.
this on flute. What a nerd. Wow.
That's so funny. Wait, play what on
Okay,
flute? What did I? Oh, Cantina
the
Band. Okay,
Cantina
okay.
music.
Yeah.
Okay, so let
Wow.
me get back to your question.
Yes, I want to
Um,
know the
I
fictional
kind of
character influence.
I kind of agree with this, which I assume is a Daddy
Daddy
Dalinar joke.
Nar, the Dalinar
Um,
joke.
but I honestly do think that that's a huge one for me is Dalinar. Yes, Mike's book reviews for Star Wars Legends is huge.
Okay.
Dalinar is a big one. I think that Kaladin is also one for me. When I think back even further, like so my early one is probably like Goku and Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z.
Okay. Yeah.
Just because I grew up with that so much, and seeing them, you do a thing, you get better at it, and you can do cool things. Basically, right? Like that's sort of in the most basic terms what I kind of saw from them as a little kid, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. And I just wanted to be jacked. Like that's a reason.
Yeah.
Like so many people, that's why we started lifting weights, right?
Exactly.
But those are ones I'm trying to think of other more like modern ones. Yes, make that nerd level rise. Let's go. I love it.
That's where the Dragon Ball Z influence has reared its head, and the nerd level rising.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we need to talk about the book abbreviations here, Vera, because these are as amazing as much as I love it. Actually, you know what? We don't need to talk about it. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Wait, abbreviate. When reading
Assassin's Apprentice, I assume.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Assassin's Quest. The Ass Quest was my favorite one. I thought that was amazing.
Ass Quest. Okay, I
yeah.
have to. I missed the. I missed a video.
Yeah.
But that's incredible.
Yeah, it was awesome. But yeah, Glock. I'm not sure Glock is a role model for me, but he is one of the best characters for sure.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of the nerd level progressive overload. Let's go. I love that.
Did you have to put that into your ass app from the
might want to be careful with that one. You need
might want to watch on that one, Brian. That's so funny.
There we go. I love that.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. Ass questing. Okay, I got it. I'm on board now.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. How are those audiobooks for the Realm of the Otherlings, Vera? I need to know.
Oh yeah. Are you an audiobook person?
I
struggle.
I was. So my initial reading has always been like nonfiction up until I turned probably my hip surgery that we were talking about. I was mostly reading nonfiction with the exception of the political thriller, the Terminal List series.
Okay.
And so I would only listen because growing up, dude, I just like didn't think I was smart enough. Like I didn't think like you're just not worthy. You're just like all these kids are going to read and they're going to be so much smarter than you. You just don't even bother, and just I would improvise my book reports and somehow manage speeds, which is so funny. I would just like deduce how the story is going to go I would like turn to the back. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is how it's going to go. And I'd be like probably within like 70-80% interval, like close, like, and so when I started reading, I was like forcing myself to physically read. And I went back and forth I went back to like listening to audiobooks. I think my first fantasy audiobook was The Way of Kings, like all the way. No, it was Game of Thrones. And then I listened to A Way of Kings. And I don't know, maybe it's like Brandon Sanderson's prose style. I felt more immersed in the audiobook with that. Like on the audiobook, the narrators are they're done very well, but they're very like matter of fact. They're very like, this is very straightforward characters. And he bounces, I think he uses a woman for Shallan and a dude for pretty much everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And then that helped me too. And then obviously I read the first 3 books, and then I listened to Best Served Cold. And hearing those characters, and I'm listening to Red Country right now, hearing Stephen Pacey narrate these characters is the most fascinating audio experience I think I have ever had. It is 100% worth it. I think if you read the first Law series all the way, like, or have read it, I'm sure you have, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just the first three, though.
You...
I have not done the standalones or the Age of Madness. It's one of those that I know I'm going to love it so much. I keep putting it off because I don't want it to be over. It's one of those.
Yes, I highly recommend because if you know you're going to get back to physically reading at some point, I highly recommend listening to Best Served Cold.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just, and I'm sure you've heard this iterated so many times. Like, I'm not the first person to say it, but it is so true. Like, it is so true. Hearing Nico Makoska just hammered talking to you, like talking in this, you're just so immersed. And I would go on walks and listen, and it helped me. When I was in California, it was very much like, lower populated area. So it was easier for me to go on walks. There was like less distractions, and I would be able to listen listen well. Out here in the city, it's a little more challenging. That said, Red Country's, I'm hearing every word. Stephen Pacey is just like that good. He is the GOAT of audio narration. And I've heard The Wandering Inn has a very good audio narrator. There's some like lit RPGs out there I think I want to get into. Brian would be probably way more the person to talk to about lit RPG, but
Brian listened to that one, I think. The Wandering Inn.
He did listen
talking about it. Yeah.
Okay. I think him and Matt's fantasy book reviews, they were the two that I was like,
Wandering Matt.
Oh yeah, he didn't. Yeah, you didn't enjoy it, right? Forgot about that.
Isn't it like 50 hours long or something just for the first book?
So long. I have it in my library, just like sitting there. It's like Bastion, I think, is one I'm gonna listen to when I get the chance.
This is another one I keep hearing about, the Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Yes. Oh, okay, yeah. That one is probably, yeah. I would put him up against. I haven't listened to DCC, so I can't speak to it. But I think Stephen Pacey has a pretty good shot.
I gotta try one of these. My only experience with audiobooks really was like as a little kid going on vacation, like we're driving up to Wisconsin or whatever, and we have one of the old Harry Potter, like the original Harry Potter cassette audiobooks playing, and I just remember thinking
so sick.
I was just like it was fun, but it wasn't a particularly like amazing narration that I can remember. Anyway, I could be wrong.
But no. I mean, who knows?
Now it's like I just don't know when I would do it, because the only time I really listen to like YouTube and stuff is when I'm driving. I'll just play it in the background, and I don't want to not, that's when I watch my BookTube stuff. Time. Yeah, so it's tough.
It is so tough. Like I was actually thinking about that today. I was like, man, like I have like developed like commenting in like Brian's videos, for example. Finally put it. Ooh, interesting. Okay, well, you would be able to speak to that. I need to. Okay, noted. Dungeon Crawl Carl. I think those are easily digestible, right?
Yeah, from what I hear, they're supposed to be. Yeah,
That's
dude.
What I hear.
You just play it on your phone and let it sit over. I don't watch it while I'm driving. Let's be very clear.
Yeah,
I don't watch anything.
Sucker, I love looking at people like holding up the books. It's my favorite part of.
I do enjoy that, but
it's. And Vera has very like very well produced, like edits, and I don't know that, and then of course Rick Thunder. Whenever he's on screen, I have to examine. I have to study this. I have to study Rick Thunder.
Yeah, there's definitely stuff you want to watch for sure.
Yeah. I think that's actually. I mean, I would say, as far as audiobooks worthy of your driving time would be something like First Law, especially if you're anxious to get back into it. Best Served Cold was so good. The Heroes was so good. And I'm in the very early portions of Red Country, and I was listening to a review of the audio book from Matt's Fantasy Book Reviews, and he was talking about how like it gives some stuff away and blah blah. I had an inkling of who it would be anyways, and then but I'm like, you if I was reading it on page based on the words I'm hearing, I would be able to pin who this person is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like cool. It was written well, obviously by Joe Abercrombie, to the point where I'd be like, I can put this together. Like I awesome. Didn't know what this particular character sounded like in the, whatever. I don't want to ruin anything. I just because I didn't listen to them, but
yeah. That's cool though.
But yes.
Yeah, the movie should be cool. Once we get that movie, that'd be fun. But yeah, maybe I should give him a shot.
Rebecca Ferguson, her in Dune and
incredible.
the Mission Impossible movies, so good. Her character in Dune 2 is like haunting. Like it's so, so haunting.
This is a good question, Chance. Can you think of something? Sun Eater and Stormlight being the most sprawling sagas happening right now in the SFF space. I would definitely throw Malazan in there because they're still publishing Malazan books, and that is the most sprawling of sprawling sprawls I've ever seen.
That's the ultimate sprawl for sure. I guess I have only read A Way of Kings, and I'm even from that I understand
I keep forgetting
I am not caught up on Stormlight. I am not like Sanders, like Brandon Sanderson. I heard of who he was. I was watching all of his lectures, like all of them, interviews, everything. I'm like, this guy knows what he's doing. I like, for some reason, I was just like getting into Tad Williams early on, and his books were so thick. I was like, I'm going to get to Brandon Sanderson soon. And I was like, you know what? I need something lighter. Let me just dive into Joe Abercrombie. Like those are my Tad Williams and Joe Abercrombie were my first two that I really dove into. And then by the time I got to Brandon Sanderson, Malazan was the pickup. That was like, okay, I feel like I was at Way of Kings. I hadn't read Malazan yet. And I was like, I was itching to like, everyone's like, oh, this is challenging. And yes, but I'm very, I don't want to say good at, I think it might be a little bit of a curse. I can like shut my brain off sometimes and just like ride the wave. You finished the series, which is like, I'm so jealous. Like I really just wish I wish I knew everything that happened right now. Am I saying Malazan right, by the way? Is that the common? Okay. I feel like I've never said that right my whole life till just now.
I remember seeing just interviews with Erickson, and anytime he says something, I'm like, okay, that's how I'm saying that.
That's the way to say it. Yeah. Malazan's to me is the most sprawling, having only read The Way of Kings. I'm going to continue my Stormlight read come December. I think based on what I'm hearing like Brandon Sanderson's detail in reading it. There you go. House of Change is so good. The first 50%. I mean, first of all, the whole book is good, but just like I loved that like character dive, that headspace, just getting in there.
Carsus, you're gonna be on team.
I think
Carsa by the end of this book.
Okay, I got you back.
You're just gonna be saying witness all the time, like I do now.
Oh yeah. House of Change is so good. Every book I read of Malazan, with the exception of Gardens of the Moon, which I cannot wait to go back and reread because I know I just missed everything. What's happening?
I can't wait to read it. Yeah.
I know that I'm gonna enjoy it more than I did the first time. I just know from where we're at now. I would say that Sun Eater, it's so sprawling, and it's so I haven't read Disquiet Gods or Dregs yet.
Yeah. Jump in Malazan soon, as you should.
And I get it's not for everybody. Like I don't like. There are a lot of people who like hate it because it gets views, and then also there's people who just don't like it, but then they talk about it like they don't like it. I don't know. I just typically I never don't enjoy something so much that I feel the need to talk about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, me either. I'm just
move on.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll move on. That said, like I totally get it, and it's cool that there are people who voice it, and that's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that. I think that a lot of the things that are nitpicked about it, I'm just like, yeah, it's a good story. You know, if it's hard, it is definitely all over the place. I think my scatterbrain helps me a little bit in that way. Just being able to like put voices to the characters too, which I know is not something that everybody does when they read. So it's like, there are definitely, I could see why it wouldn't be a top read for people, but it didn't take long for it. The ending of Dead House Case was really it for me.
Oh man, yeah, so good.
And Evie, that's I mean, there are books that you probably enjoy that I would love, that I would absolutely love. Just because like we don't agree on one book series doesn't mean like it's not like there's no better or worse taste to me. It's just like there's taste, and that's just what it is. My girlfriend can eat scalding hot French fries. I cannot. And I never want to eat scalding hot French fries.
You're out of your mind, bro. Hotter the better.
Oh my gosh, I cannot. I'm like, I will burn my face off.
I think I got used to it from when I used to work at a Target. I worked at Target for like 6 years or something. So I'd have a 15-minute break, and I would clock in at 6 a.m. So like I need coffee on my break, right? So I would go get coffee and just down it immediately. and I think I just could have like asbestos throat now after that.
Yeah, that is wild. That is absolutely wild. Wow, that's crazy. I can't. I will like sip out of my Yeti cup on the coffee I make in the morning. I take the cap off, I pour it, and I let it sit for like 30 minutes with the cap off because I just don't want it to be hot.
Each their own. That's okay.
Yeah. See, this is where we disagree. Yeah,
it's okay.
In terms, okay, I want to get back to Sun Eater because that series, is so good, absolutely, fascinating. And I think
you read Ashes of Man, right?
I've read Ashes of Man.
Okay, yeah. That's my next one, so I'm almost caught up to you. But
I think me and Alex told you that it's our top one of the books, but I'm not going to say more than that. There's just like this something that I've been waiting for a long time. That's all. Okay. That's all I'll say.
All right.
And then just that sort of thing. Ooh,
I haven't gotten into that stuff as much.
Star Trek. I actually was thinking about this today. Foundation, Isaac Asimov, those books, I have them in my Amazon cart. I've been wanting to get into them because I have like I like reading the older stuff. That's why I really like Joseph Reed's books. Like he loves like the older like literature, and I'm fascinated by like author's favorite author. Like what inspired these. Really that's why I started with Tad Williams. I was like, oh, if this guy inspired one of the most notorious fantasy series of all time, including like J.R. Tolkien and Beowulf and that sort of thing, like that is, I love that stuff. Like that just is a magnet for me. Sun Eater, and it goes also back to Mr. Christopher Rocchio and Book of the New Sun. His praise for that series and the inspiration that it pulled for him, I had to read it. I had to, and reading it it made my Sun Eater experience a little, I don't want to, it's not like comparing mine and your read of it. And I'm saying like my read of it from when I started Sun Eater to when I had read both of the Books of the New Sun. I haven't read the third one yet. And then going back, I think I read Kingdoms of Death like after I finished the Sword and Citadel. And conveniently, because there's some stuff in the Kingdoms of Death that he does with the language. It's been a while since I've like put Sun Eater down. I'm actually waiting until you read Disquiet Gods to pick the series up again.
Let's go.
I'm gonna read Dreg. Are you gonna read Dregs of Empire before you read Disquiet Gods?
I think so. I think my plan is to do Ashes of Man and then Tales 3, Dregs, and then Disquiet Gods.
You're gonna have to stop in Tales of the Sun Eater 3 at some point.
Rocchio recommends doing that before Disquiet Gods. That's his website says.
He says read the whole thing.
That's what it says anyway. Well, it doesn't specifically say. You're saying to maybe skip something at the end of it?
I'm saying, well, I mean, you're going to read the title of it and you're going to be like, oh, wow, I really wish I didn't read that. Just the title of the very last short story in Tales 3.
Well, maybe I'll just wait on that until after Disquiet Gods then, because like if I read the short stories out of chronological order, who cares?
Yeah. I mean, if the website says it, I'm not the authority. I got there and I was like, oh, I'm gonna put it down. So I'm like, I have this one short story left in Sun Eater, the third volume, that I'm just waiting to read until I'm done with Disquiet Gods. But I guess knowing that this character exists, it already like kind of. I'm like, all right, well.
Interesting. All right, well, maybe I'll wait then, because I'm not sure if I want to have that.
Yeah. So I'll read Disquiet and Dregs when you decide to get into it, because that's one of those things that I when I started engaging in BookTube, that was one of the series that really drew me to start communicating with other people. Is Sun Eater. Yeah, it's just like so enthralling. Like his writing and just being in Hadrian Marlowe's head and just seeing his thought process and seeing also the like dramatis persona, where whoever is going over Hadrian Marlowe's scripture and just seeing their opinions of it, it's like dashed like this. It might be one sentence, but like just that little thing just makes you think, oh, this is like real. Like, this is,
it's amazing.
It's so cool.
I don't know how he. And just thinking about how old he was when he wrote Empire Silence, it just blows my mind even more. I need to get my channel bigger so I can talk to him. I want to get him on the channel. That'd be so fun.
Yeah, I mean, you're connected.
He seems nice enough. seems nice enough. I could just email him or something. We'll see.
But. Yeah, exactly. And and he does, like, I watch a lot of his interviews that he does with like a lot of channels that I never watched until seeing these interviews, and it actually introduced me to a bunch of people I enjoy watching.
I had that too.
Yeah,
that actually,
that's what I was saying.
That's how I found Aaron from Bibliotheory. That now he just sent me a copy of his book. It showed up in the mail today, and I'm like, he's the man, right? So like, I found him through Rockio interview, like his channel. Now I'm gonna read his book. Like it's so cool.
Yeah, that's so cool. Sick. By the way, that is awesome that he sent you this book.
Yeah, well, I just asked him. I was like,
hey, like, send me that.
Yeah, I was like, I totally missed he made a post on Instagram back in like July that he was gonna send out ARCs, and I totally missed it. So I messaged him and I was like, hey, like, is there any chance you're still doing that? I know we're getting close. And he was like, yeah, man, you know. So he super nice dude. And from I watched Chris's Beast Friends Forever video talking about his talking about the book, and I'm like, this sounds awesome. Like, I would love to check this out. Super cool.
I have to it's like a not film noir, right? It's like it's got a little Blade Runner inspiration, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Little Blade Runner, little Batman, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, yeah, that does sound really right up my alley. The sci-fi is one of those genres that pulls me. So he's talking about Foundation and Expanse. Expanse is just too vast a series right now for me to dive into. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, I need to get some other long series off of my like in permanent ink list right now. Like, I just need to check a couple things off that are ongoing, and then I'll open up a new series. I just don't want to have too many stuff all at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Too many stuff, too many things.
Too many stuff. Hey, it's official. It's canon now.
Hey, my PhD's in lifting weights, bro. I'm not that smart. Okay.
The booktube lore has that in canon now.
Yeah.
What was it? I needed stuff. That's funny.
What did I even say? Somebody in the comments.
Yeah, now I forgot. We're gonna go back and watch this, and we're
too many stuff. I think
too many.
Star Trek. I've seen a little bit of Star Trek, but I didn't watch a ton of it. I remember being my general feeling of that and Doctor Who is that, like, I really think I'll like this. I just haven't taken the time to jump into it and watch much of it. But I think it'd be really cool.
That happens with so much stuff too. You know, just like there's so many things that I like know I'm going to enjoy, and I just it's like this little like subconscious priority list, and it's not that one thing is, you just don't know what's better and what's not. And you're not even necessarily looking for what's better. You're just looking for in that moment, like, this is what I want right now.
Like, exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly.
It's that simple. I never got into Dragon Ball Z. I watched it. Me and my buddies would play the video games on PlayStation 2. I would like buy action figures of characters from the show just because they were jacked, and I was like, oh, this is like, you know,
it's cool.
Yeah, that's literally all it was. But yeah, and I've heard it's worth watching even now. Like, I think I should go back and watch it. I just finished season 3 of Attack on Titan like 2 days ago.
Very nice.
And I know they're different. I know, like,
they're definitely different. I mean, Attack on Titan is objectively a better written story. Like, there's just the writing in that manga originally, right? But then, you know, anime after that is just so, it's very, very good. And there's some stuff that, as you're going through it, you'll be like, that was weird. I don't know about that. But then by the end, it recontextualizes all of that, and you're like, oh. So it's very, very good. Alex was saying you can stop in the middle of the Cell Saga. No, you cannot stop in the middle of the Cell Saga.
Is that Dragon Ball?
Yeah. So Dragon Ball is like, it's like a lot of shonen anime where there's like separate sagas that you kind of go through. Okay. And the Cell one that he's talking about is, I would argue, is the best written one. Like, there's just a lot of really cool stuff, and some of the most epic moments are in there. And to stop in the middle of that is,
Alex,
it hurts my soul. It hurts my soul.
That's so funny.
I don't know if you can see it. I think you can see it on the stream. Up over my there, I have a autographed by the voice actors Goku and Vegeta poster that I met him at a Comic-Con. It was so sick.
That is, but I have to go to these conventions. I'm trying to go to Worldcon next year.
I'm trying to go. I just need to make sure I can swing the money and stuff. But
yeah, I mean,
that'd be so fun.
PhD program. That's like, so it's I get it. yeah, I'm gonna try so hard to get out there. I think it'll be fun, you know. We'll have to talk. We'll have to talk more as it gets closer, you know, and just make sure,
Sure.
just organize, see some, you know, like, you know, find the same hotel or something if we could swing it, you know.
I mean, that I'd be down. That'd save a lot of money.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I think Worldcon would. I got so much FOMO watching everybody talk about Worldcon. It looks so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Um,
I think it's just a bunch of people who, again, it's like a culmination of this community, like a booktube, in person. You know, everybody
yeah,
everybody meets. You know, it's or our I guess this corner of booktube. You know,
yeah. You should. Have you ever heard of ICFA? ICFA.
no,
I had neither. When I DM'd Janie Wertz after my other live stream just to thank her before she sent me books, which still blows my mind. But she was telling me about this
that is crazy.
conference. Yeah, this ICFA conference that's in like the Orlando area. That's like a very serious, like academic, but also fun writing and fantasy conference that
Oh,
like she goes almost every year. Philip and AP have been there a bunch. I know Jimmy Nuts has been there. Um, Steven Erickson goes there all the time. It's
oh
like
wow.
big names in fantasy get together, and it's like a really cool thing. I'm like, that'd be fun to go to.
Oh, okay.
So,
ICFA. Do you know? Do you have off the top of your head where it's at?
I think
Or
I just
sorry, not
googled
where. Yeah, Orlando. But
Orlando.
I guess I have to see when.
I'm trying to. I want to say March, but I need to.
Okay,
I
okay,
need to
okay.
double
I mean,
check.
yeah, I'll have to Google. I see. I'm not going to forget that now. Like
Oh yeah,
like
dude. Yeah, I
ICFA.
think it'd
Yeah,
be fun.
and plus I could always go back on replay and just find. I'm like not prepared. I don't have the chat pulled up. I don't even know if everyone's watching.
Yeah, everyone got to meet Abercrombie, and
Yeah,
people met George Martin at Worldcon. Like it's crazy.
that's so cool. I can't. I imagine a conversation with Joe Abercrombie. He like ribs at you quite a bit, and
Yeah,
I find
I can
that so
imagine.
entertaining.
Yeah, look it up, dude.
Yeah,
Um,
please. ICFA sounds like something I'm that we should if you because you're more local, right?
yeah, I'm
Relatively
closer.
speaking.
It'd be like a 3-4 hour drive for me. Like that's
Oh,
nothing.
not bad. Dragon Con. Ooh,
I want to do Dragon Con too. That'd be fun. I almost went this past year
that's
to try to meet
Dragon
Ryan
Steel,
Cahill,
right?
but it was Dragon Con
Oh wait,
is
no, Dragon
Atlanta.
Con's its own thing.
Yeah, it's its own. It's
Okay,
in Atlanta every year.
okay.
Um,
Dragon Con's in Atlanta. Noted.
yeah, that'd be
They're
cool,
in the
man. Let's
same month.
booktuber
Ooh.
meetup at Worldcon next year.
Yeah, we
Fun.
should do that. Dragon Con sounds sick though too. But if they're both in
It
August,
does.
like how's I got to see as long as they're in the states. If I can like jump around a little bit, especially next year, like with the goal of either way. I'm gonna want to probably go to these things in general just to meet people and like
Yeah,
be around people who I can learn something from.
for
I
sure.
mean, in your program right now, the PhD, it's just like that's really one of the most rewarding experiences is just to be
100%.
well, to be a leech and take everybody's knowledge. Just,
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
steal what you can do.
yeah,
100%.
exactly.
100%.
So yeah, I think that'd be really cool for everybody to go like meet up at these places, and it seems like relatively accessible. ICFA, I don't want to forget Dragon
Okay.
Con will come.
Yep.
There was a
I can
fantasy
text you too.
con, I think. Yeah, yeah, actually, please. There's a fantasy. I think there's another fantasy con, which is in like Niagara Falls area.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool.
which I looked into. I think it was like too last minute for me this year to like put that stuff together. Because I mean, you know, you balance life. It's like this is
You gotta
at the end of
choose.
the day,
Yeah.
like I love this and I love doing it, but it's like, man, like I really, you know, if like I was talking about furniture, buying furniture, like if I want to contribute to, you know, I need to help with that. But that
Yeah.
said, she's taken all of this on the head, which is great. As far
Yep.
as, and by the way, people who aren't listening, my girlfriend is like designing this great interior. So I'm just like experiencing it with her. Ass app ass app con.
You gotta be
No, you
careful.
gotta, you, you don't want to go to the wrong one.
Yeah, you just gotta make sure
Either,
that it's got the right little logo, the little icon, right? You don't want the
yeah, there might be a
sketchy one.
couple of those. There might be a couple of those. That yeah, they're okay. I mean, if Robin Hobb and for reference, talking about Realm of the Elderlings, Assassin's Apprentice, If Robin Hobb goes to the events too, that would be so sick. That'd be so sick to
man.
meet her and be able to talk.
It'd be so cool to meet people.
I think that's her pen name too, right?
I believe so.
Okay, because I watched an interview with her and Mr. George R. Martin, and I was like, oh wow, I didn't know at the time. I was like, oh okay, like around with the Otherlings, and then started picking more of it up, and I was like, oh, that is one of the most fascinating series I've started as far as
I can't wait to read it, dude.
Recent reads, just like similar to Christopher Rocchio's like enthralling prose style. She has that also. It's like, I'd say definitely like Hadrian Marlowe is definitely more melodramatic than Fitz.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Oh, perfect.
It's got to happen now.
But just like experiencing the very first book of Assassin's Apprentice, and I feel like, you know, it's so funny. I love first person, like the first person narrative reading. Like I love that.
Dude, you know what? I hated it my whole life. I hated it. But then I was gonna hate it. I jumped into, when I read Red Rising, I was like, I know this is supposed to be good, but I'm going to hate this first person thing. And it totally changed my mind. I'm totally on board with it. I like it. I still prefer third person, but between Red Rising and Sun Eater, like I've totally changed my mind on it.
Yeah, I think I'm like I'm pretty in between here. There he is.
He is. We didn't even have to chant Beowulf this time.
Oh no way! Yeah, exactly. You just came.
I'm a real booktuber now. Awesome. I can make that joke.
And me and Philip Chase we're relatively close in proximity currently, which is pretty wild. I had no idea.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's amazing how many people that, I mean, obviously there's people who do this booktube thing all over the place, right? But just the people that I've kind of gravitated to, so many of them are like East Coast. It's like everybody I talk to is like, Eastern time zone. I'm like, oh wow, okay. Like not everybody. Like I know, you know, Brian's in Minnesota and like Mike's in Texas. Not that I know Mike, but like just you know, other people, I like their videos. They're all over the place. Bear's a little bit further away.
A little bit.
You know, there's people all over.
I think it's in a lot of these places, at least. At the very least, obviously, right now you're in a southern state, but like I think the cold, and sometimes like in the, you know, it gets cold in the winter, frigid in the winter. You know, even in places like North Carolina, I feel like North Carolina has a massive. So not far, not far at all. Ireland's not far at all.
Which, speaking of North Carolina, let's all send good vibes to North Carolina, dude, because they are struggling right now. Not just North. I mean, there's a lot of places are struggling, but I have a particularly soft spot. My girlfriend lived in Asheville for a long time, and Asheville has just been, it's really bad. So the best possible vibes that we can send over there.
Absolutely. And that's a mountain town too, which is just, I feel like that sort of stuff just doesn't. Yeah.
Yep.
It's so wild. Wow. Well, yeah. How are you in Florida?
It was complete. I didn't get anything. It rained a tiny bit. So it's the west coast of Florida got hit. They've gotten hit a lot harder. I'm pretty close to Miami. So like, I'm like way out there in the water, but for whatever reason, the storms keep circling around and hitting like Panhandle area. Excuse me, area. So I've been getting lucky so far, thankfully.
Okay. Yeah. Have you been down in Florida for a little bit?
Almost 4 years. I came down here just for grad school. I lived in Illinois my entire life.
Oh wow.
So I very much miss the seasons in the fall and all that stuff. But
it gets frigid in Illinois, yeah?
It does, dude. It gets like, I remember the last couple of years I was there, we got like wind chill warnings in the winter. Which Brian's probably laughing at me. He's like, oh, you don't know nothing.
Yeah, but, Minnesota. Yeah.
But yeah, kind of brutal in the winter, and then the summer it got super hot and humid and gross, and so you get all of the extremes there. And so
I imagine I actually have an image in my head of Rick Thunder walking outside during a Minnesota snowstorm, and just the snow clears because of all the heat radiating from that.
Exactly. That's exactly how it is.
It's the leather jacket, really, to me.
Yeah, he just tells Rick it to Thunder, go away.
He needs to be protected.
100%.
Yeah,
I mean, does he need it though? I mean, he can take care of himself.
No, that's true. I mean, by whatever orb surrounds him,
sheer charisma alone,
he is the main character. We are just here for the ride.
Yeah, brings that hair dryer. He's got to, man. You got to keep it looking good.
That'll clear up some snow
Yeah.
for sure.
Chance, let me.
Jersey, hey Jersey.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
Not so he
please go
doesn't
ahead.
pack. Well, I was going to change the subject a little bit because I know somebody asked earlier up there, and I wanted to make sure I talked to you about this. But I want to make sure we get your just everything that's going on with your writing right now, dude. Because I know we get the weekly updates, but I have you on here, and I got to make sure that we talk about writing a bit because you were doing the thing, and I know I say this all the time in my comments there, but man, it's so inspiring to hear you talk about it, just how much it clearly means to you and how cool all of the progress has been to follow. And I'm just excited for you, man. And as somebody who I'm trying to do that myself, but I just keep not, it's hard to find the time, but I will get there.
Yeah.
But it's a constant inspiration to me. So thank you for that. But also just talk to me about it.
Well, actually, based on the backstory that you gave me of your D&D character, I am very excited to see, because obviously you have the creative. I think like the creative bug, it has like a small piece in all of us in some way or another. Obviously for some people it rears its head in story, and others. And I think as Dr. Philip Chase talks about, like story is kind of the root of I want to say all things, but I don't think I'm smart enough to speak on the topic. So I'm actually really excited to hear about your as you go, whatever little bit you throw my way, I'm gonna like absorb and take in, and I'm always looking for critique partners, because I think as anyone who's writing or has been a part of any writing circle knows, it's just like those little nudges are so helpful. And I don't know. What do you want me to what do you want me to talk about as far as
well, first of all, quit making it about me, because I want to talk about you for a minute. You're being way too nice and way too humble. But I will absolutely take you up on that if you're serious, because I think that'd be awesome. And I don't know anybody like personal IRL friends that are into writing. So I think that'd be really valuable. And I have like 10,000 words written right now, so it's like very early on, but there's enough to probably get some thoughts on, I suppose. But
you could absolutely throw it my way. I will make time for it for sure.
Very well. Let me do that.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think if I have a specific question. I guess a question I might ask is like, when you decided to like really take that seriously, because I think a lot of us who kind of have that itch to try it, it's like it starts out, it's just kind of like, oh, I'm having a little bit of fun with this, and playing around with it a little bit here and there. But to get to the point where you have a finished draft of a novel and you're starting, you're working on the sequel, and you have, it's like, it's no longer just a little tiny fun thing here and there. It's, you take this very seriously. And it's always interesting to me to where that switch happens, and to where you really turn that corner. So do you remember that moment? Do you remember like what caused you to do that or anything like that?
Yeah, very, very vividly. So I was actually playing like a lot of D&D, and like I told you, I was like writing Alavis Lightseeker's backstory. And I was, long story short, there was a relationship. It ended, I'd say, poorly, and I had just had my hip surgery. My mom was there for 10 days with me. Love my mom, by the way. I know this is just like a conversation between me. She will never see this. I just need to express how much I love my mom. She is an absolute champion. Like I cannot say that. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like what a mother endures it's insane.
Oh, dude. Unreal.
It blows my mind. So she came out to California when I had my hip surgery, and she was taking care of me. And then she left because she could only be there for 10 days because, you had to work. And so I was in a chair. Like, it's like hip surgery was like a torn labrum repair, and then they shaved the head of the femur and then the hip bone. And I had been, like I said, writing a little bit of Alavis Lightseeker stuff and writing, campaign stuff. And that relationship I was in just ended at that time. Like, and that's all I'll say about it. And
that's hard timing, dude. That's a lot.
Yeah, I was crutching. I was crutching around the house. I could barely put weight on my right leg, and there were stairs in the apartment. It was an apartment. I was like off work because I was in the military, and in the middle of nowhere, California, and like this just very serene sense of loneliness. I'm probably using the word serene incorrectly there. Just kind of came over me, and like I've been alone before, and like I like alone time. But I was very just like alone, and it lasted about 90 seconds, and I was so aware of it, hyper aware of it. I got up out of this chair. I was using my buddy's gaming chair because he was on deployment. In our apartment, I was downstairs watching Netflix on a big TV, and then I crutched my butt upstairs, sat in a chair, and just kind of put on some Spotify playlist, some Witcher songs, Power and Purpose. Put on Fitzur's Choice, from the Viking show, and I just like started really diving into this story, and I fell in love with. I don't know if it was like being outside of like my own head for a little bit, but like sitting there and writing, and it was. I don't know if you know any Stephen Pressfield. Have you read any Stephen Pressfield before? The War of Art, like that whole thing, like I had read it before, not having written, and just like that muse, like that was so real and apparent to me, and I became so aware of it, and then it just kind of like clicked, all in the same moment, and I just kind of started rolling with it. And I was like, I'm just gonna do this an hour a day, maybe 30 minutes, whatever. I'm gonna sit down in the chair. I'm gonna put my ass where my heart wants to be, which is another book that he has that I highly recommend. It's just about like putting your ass in the chair, sitting down in front of the keyboard and like going, or whatever it is, like in any aspect of life, like you're doing with your PhD and your creativity and all that stuff. And I say all that stuff, like I should be more specific, but anyways, sorry, dude. It's like, it's just like it's kind of vulnerable for me to talk about.
How dare you not highlight every cool thing in my life? How dare you? When we're talking about you. We got to highlight what Dr. Chase says here too, because I very much agree. I think it's cool that it was able to do such a powerful thing for you, right? Like I think that that's kind of like, I don't know if you relate to this, but that was part of like lifting weights for me did that. Where you get this such a profound, like the old switcheroo, right? Where it just changes your it's like this moment of insight that sticks with you forever. It's so cool.
Oh yeah. What was that moment for you? As we veer off of me. Please.
I swear, are you from Canada? You're so polite. But man, I mean, I'm not exaggerating. I think lifting weights was certainly one of them. I think that I'm doing this bodybuilding contest prep right now. Mm-hmm. I've done one before that got cut short. I started at the end of 2019, was going into spring of 2020, and we all know what happened then.
Wow.
And so everything just closed, everything got canceled, and I couldn't compete. I was like 5 weeks out at the time, so I did all the hard part. The last 5 weeks are obviously a lot, but and it was kind of like a similar moment of life is just so hard at that point, and you kind of have this, I don't know, it just feels like a beam of light just comes out of nowhere, and you're just like, and it kind of feels like it transforms a part of you in that moment. And it was, for me, like that moment felt, I have a Dragon Ball Z analogy for it, but you wouldn't get it. So
you can say it. I need to get up on the game. It's my job, tell me.
So, I mean, it's also a big spoiler, which, it's hard to spoil Dragon Ball Z at this point, but
not about the Cell Saga though, right? That's the coolest one. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's, are you aware of what Super Saiyan is, at least?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so the first time that Goku transforms, it's like this. It's a very emotional moment. There's like a trigger, basically, for people when they transform for the first time. And the way that it worked for him is he was sort of in the situation where he could either, keep just fighting against this thing that happened, this trauma that happened, but he'd been trying to do that and it just doesn't work, right? It's banging his head against the wall. Or you can run away, but that doesn't work either, because then you're not going to accomplish the goal. So the only remaining option is just to sort of submit and accept that this thing happened and process that feeling. And then, so he does that and he transforms and he, gets to go do the thing. And that's what it felt like to me. I was like, I can't fight against this diet, the stress, all this stuff. I can't run away because I don't want to. I can't just stop.
No.
But so you have to just kind of submit. And dude, I was like, man, I can do anything now. It was so cool. And then that led to me doing the PhD, and then now I'm doing a prep during the PhD, which would have blown my mind before. But coincidentally, it's actually easier that way. Just I'm not cool and tough. It's just easier to be distracted and be busy, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that those are probably my biggest things. In general, and honestly, to be honest, this like booktube thing is kind of one of them too. Like,
yeah, 100%.
I think I'm somebody who I have some mental health stuff pop up every now and then, a little bit of depression, a little bit of anxiety, whatever. Which is normal. Tons of people have that kind of stuff, right?
Yes.
But starting this YouTube channel was kind of after a point of, a lot of kind of lower times for a while, and just the immediate like love and welcoming and positivity from the whole community was like, I cannot describe to you how much it just changed my day-to-day outlook, right? It was amazing.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the most recent time like that, where it's like you're at a low point, you have this just super powerful thing that changes your outlook dramatically on something.
Yes.
So cool.
Yeah. I think thank you, by the way, for sharing that. I imagine that's not, sure. I appreciate that. That's seriously, thank you. That's nice of you to actually feel that you can share, especially with the community, with like, I think that speaks to the volumes of what BookTube can do,
100%.
There's so many, and makes me think of all the people who, maybe they don't so much as engage in the community, but they're observing, maybe watching a video, or just, getting some sort of sense of enjoyment out of it. And it goes a long way, man. Like, that's a very good point. And these connections, like you and me meeting, Alex and I, it's Chris over the Bearded Book Beast. Like, this is the stuff, and of course John Photography Story, who has been a catalyst, I think, for getting everybody, together. And it's very cool, I guess, in this moment of reflection as we sit here and we do that. It is very fascinating and very cool. And that big sense of community that I think a lot of people in BookTube get, it's nice, and it's rewarding. It really is. And it wasn't what I was expecting at all. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know until I put my hat in the ring and started like communicating and like commenting, and I don't know, I was just fascinated with what people loved in a story, really, and that kind of drew me to the community. And I'm so happy that you were like nice enough to welcome me on here to just have a nice conversation. Like,
oh yeah,
like
dude,
this is the stuff I love. And I'm never I don't, you're a brave host for sure. And I think everybody who I follow is a brave host. I just, maybe it's just something I'm not quite there on yet.
It's just, I just want to talk to people. That's the only reason I wouldn't say I'm brave at all. I'm just like, how do I talk to these cool people? Right. Like that's it, so how do I sort of force that? Cause like you can comment and they reply, and it's like I remember, first time Philip replied to me, I was like, what? This is crazy.
Oh yeah.
Or
that was so cool.
Anybody. Right. And it's just,
Brian,
that's
everybody,
really cool.
Exactly.
And then
everybody.
And then I'm like, well, this is a different level. Right. And this is like it's as close to a face-to-face conversation as I'm going to have with most of the outside of a conference or something that we might see somebody at. But like, I don't live in the same city as most of these people, right? So it's just, it's cool to get as close to that as possible and just have conversations. And it's like the relationship just builds so much faster, right? Like, I don't know. It's just fun, right? It is so dude. Fun. It's just fun.
And then I think everybody kind of has this commonality of like having, you try some things, you fail at some things, and it's just nice every once in a while to just enjoy, sit back and enjoy conversations.
100%.
Yeah, man, dude, yeah. I'm so excited to get into our reads with everybody.
Man, I gotta slow down these buddy reads, man.
Yeah, I'm like, oh man, like, yeah, I want it. Like, these are books I want to read. Like, they're on my list. I got to read them. I like use it as an excuse to read for sure.
Yeah.
Oh
It's,
yeah,
we got
100%.
some fun stuff coming up, man. I know we're here in the winter, us getting up to talk about Eluthian. That'll be fun.
Oh yeah, that
Getting
one.
into
That
We Are
one
the
is
Dead
one
soon.
we should try and get. The author of Eluthian. I don't have his name on the top of my head, but we should try and see if they'd be willing to.
Sam Middleton. Yeah,
okay,
that'd be cool.
We should find. You already have an open line of communication.
Yeah, I DM'd with him.
I don't want to. Actually, you're busy enough.
I got the connections, bro.
Okay, I was gonna say you're so busy. I feel like saying that is like, hey man, I know you're in this PhD program. I know you're reading a lot. You have your own creative projects, and blah, blah. It's like, hey, would you mind messaging Sam Middleton? It's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, only takes a second to send a message, right?
Yeah. How about I want to actually ask you, because I was curious. I thought about this today. Music. How are you? What's your favorite kind of music?
Honestly, so I have a very funny music taste.
Okay.
At least that's what people seem to think. So
okay.
Unsurprisingly, by looking at me, I like metal a lot, right? So
I'm not I can't say like I'm a metalhead. Like I'm not gonna like win any trivia, but I will, like,
sure.
Working out. Like, you just kind of, it just comes up, you know?
Yeah. So I do listen to a lot of different kinds of metal. For the one person who ever watches this that's familiar, pretty much anything spanning from like older school, like hardcore stuff, up into more and some older metal, and then the combination you get into the metalcore, bring some death metal, deathcore, right? Like a bunch of that realm.
Yeah.
Right. So I like all that stuff. I love anything that's like synthwave, dark wave, like your old school kind of gothy, that kind of stuff, or even your older British pop music that became goth music, like The Cure and the Smiths and stuff like that. I love that kind of thing. My girlfriend and I have been getting really into this band called Clan of Zymox. That's like, it's just like a really old goth band that's got like this, it's like synthesizers and whatever.
Okay.
So that kind of thing. Slay says Sleep Token. Yes, I absolutely adore.
Oh, Sleep Token absolutely
so
rips.
Good. Yes.
Yeah, Sleep Token rips.
So there's that, and then I like some electronic stuff that's more like synth kind of thing. I'm not a huge like techno, although she did just drag me to a techno concert a couple weeks ago. But that stuff is fine. But my other big love is I very completely unironically and with complete honesty love Megan Thee Stallion, and like some other rap I like. I'm not a huge rap person, but for whatever reason, Megan Thee Stallion is just like my spirit animal.
Yeah, I can kind of get down. Like, I love like I'm going to use the word groovy incorrectly, but like I'm referring to something like Megan Thee Stallion. And like, I used to listen to like 2012 days. I don't know. It's like music always changes, you know? So there's always something you can find that you like, which I like. But yeah, okay. So metal is like the primary, and then it's on a very wide spectrum of where it goes.
Yeah, for sure. Wide spectrum. Okay. It's really the only thing I'm not a country person at all. I just can't do it.
Okay.
But other than that, like I'm open to at least, which is funny because I grew up. Spirit Box is awesome, and the Megan Spirit Box collab was sweet. The new Spirit Box song crushes, by the way, but which would be good for your workout playlist, Chance.
Okay, you're gonna have to text this one to me. I'm not like Spirit Box. I have no idea.
Spirit Box is great. It's a female vocalist that she can sing really good, but also can scream and do the whole thing. It's awesome.
Okay, send it my way. Is it? I'm gonna compare it. I might be incorrect. Flyleaf. Do you remember Flyleaf? Is that?
Yeah, it's kind of similar. It's like it's just like a progression, like a couple steps.
Gotcha.
Flyleaf was doing some cool stuff, and then Spirit Box has just kind of picked that up and ran with it, basically.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, I'm on board.
How dare you? How dare you say this?
Fun door graphic.
Oh man.
Okay. I mean, I don't. I can't speak professionally on any of those things. I'm like, I also love metal. I may find myself walking the streets of New York listening to some of them at certain points in my life, you know. for the most part, like I do love Sleep Token. I know that they kind of transcend metal, don't they? Wouldn't they? They're kind of like a little bit of everything, right? It's just absolutely fascinating.
It really
and
is.
The talent and like, do you ever watch the Drumeo videos?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love those videos.
Thank you for watching, Dr. Chase.
Thank you so much for coming.
Excited to talk to you on Saturday.
Well, I'm gonna have to get a conversation with him at some point as well. I need to pick his mind. Like he does a lot of his videos, and I pick his mind through there. But
trust me.
I'm
gonna try to do the same.
Oh, I'm gonna tune in. I have to make sure I have an acting course I'm going to Saturday what time is the
4 p.m.
4 p.m. It's in the middle of my course.
Perfect.
I may be able to catch that. I may be able to catch the tail end because I'm going to be taking a train actually to New Jersey to actually just see. Surprise! I'm going to Dr. Philip Chase's house.
Perfect. There you go. You just pop in the live stream in the background.
He tuned out. I'm like, hey guys, I'm here. But no, it's my mom's birthday next week, so I'm heading home for some dinner. But yeah, sorry. Back to music. I love Sleep Token. I love more folk music, I find, than I do love country music.
Okay.
I love country music. It's just slowly kind of become. It's just hard to listen to sometimes because it's just like very much like. I don't mind pop, but when it becomes always about the same thing, I'm just like I kind of like lose. I'm very into the lyrics and like of songs in general.
Yeah, me too.
Like I love obviously the rhythmic and melodic aspects of music, but lyrics are obviously it's a story. Like everything in that song is telling a story, and I think there are some aspects of like mainstream music in general where it's just become so. It just doesn't appeal to me as much.
I feel you.
That said, I'm not better than it. That's not what I mean to imply.
For sure, yeah. Just personal preference, taste.
Exactly. I can enjoy it. Like you can throw it on and I'll listen to it. So I love my absolute favorite thing in general is somebody with a guitar and vocals, and that's it. Like I'm fascinated by bands. Like I love bands. I love like classic rock. I love all. Like I also love like our generation's rock music and like divorced dad rock they call it. I love that stuff. But as a metalhead you might be like, oh no.
Oh no, you're fine. I get it.
Okay. I just love those music. I love those songs.
There's nothing wrong with that.
So nostalgic about them. But yeah, so somebody with just a guitar and of like vocals, like Morgan Wade is an artist that comes to mind a lot for me. She is this incredible artist with a storied past who sings her heart out, and she can play the heck out of a guitar. And she rocks the acoustic. My cousin is who I have his link always in my descriptions of my videos. He is starting his like singer-songwriter career pretty much now. And he's been working at it for years, just like getting it to a point where he feels confident getting out there singing and playing. And just like that, the simple aspect of being able to pick up an acoustic guitar and play and sing has been one of the most fascinating things to me, just because it feels vulnerable, and it's just so simple. Like it's just you pick it up and you go, and whatever comes out comes out. Like I do enjoy Zach Bryan, even though he's gotten a lot more like popular, which is fine. Usually there's a fall off in quality of music when that happens. He has not had that happen, I will say.
That's good. That's cool.
Which is fascinating. I probably sound like such a snob as I'm talking. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love all forms of art. Let me be very clear.
Yeah, there you go.
Let me at least say that. So I don't mean to. Obviously, like I get more enjoyment from some things than others, but yeah, music is one of those things that like it's simple. It feels, and not always, but it's just like it's simple to fall into that feeling, especially when when you're working out, like you hear words in a song or a certain way that a heavier chord hits, and it's just like, yeah, that's gonna help me get that fifth rep,
100%. Like, or it can just be like a fun, like I've been getting really into. It's like a genre they call heavy pop, which is like like a band like the Home Team or Dayseeker. It's stuff that's like it's I don't even know how to describe it. It's got like a pop punk kind of a base to it, like a Fall Out Boy or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But it's like even I don't know how to describe it, but
A little
like the
harder.
home team is a good one. Kind of. They have like a little bit of a metal flavor in there, a little bit more of a pop kind of thing in there at the same time, which is weird way to describe it. But yeah, Elenium is also another one. Yeah. Um, but and then like Dayseeker is just so depressing. Like if you ever just want to be a sad boy in the gym, like that's a good way.
Yeah, I like it every once in a while for sure. You're just
Yes.
like kind of it's so
Like
hard to
fucking
describe.
Dayseeker.
It's just like it comes out of nowhere.
Slay mentioned
Okay.
Slaughter to Prevail, so I know you're a real one. Good for you, bro.
That's so funny. Okay. So that's noted. I got to get into that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's there's something for every I don't know if you're like this or not, but like for me, sometimes when I'm working out, it's like depending on my emotion at the time, there's just such different music that I might listen to. And
Yeah.
like sometimes I just want something sad, man. And sometimes I want something
Yeah.
really upbeat and dancey and like whatever. Sometimes I want just like heavy, gross metal, whatever. It just
Yeah.
I don't know. It changes so much.
100%. Yeah, I get sometimes I'll throw on Frank Sinatra.
There you go.
There was a phase. Well, that's like such a northeaster. If Dr. Philip Chase were here, I'd be actually curious if he's a Frank Sinatra fan. Like, I mean, he's universal, but it's just if
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra is just absolutely fascinating, and so and listening to his music is also an experience. But dang, I was gonna say something else. Oh, I had like a Katy Perry like teenage dream phase during
Nice.
work, like
Okay.
lifting when I was in college. Like that would be on the playlist every once in a while.
There you go.
Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash is probably more frequent of those three. I think he's on there a lot, which is is definitely a weird thing to listen to. But I mean, whenever I hear "When the Man Comes Around" on my Spotify playlist pop up, it's got this beginning. Have you ever seen Tombstone, the movie Tombstone?
I've not.
Okay, there's a quote in that movie, and it doesn't come from Tombstone. I think it comes from it's a biblical verse, but it is just like this. The man comes around on a dark horse. I'm not doing it justice at all. I think it's like maybe one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse or something. I'm probably also messing that up. But it's just one of the coolest phrases that I think
Okay.
pops up. If I were like, you ever watch like a UFC fight or a boxing match and you're like, I wonder what my walkout song would be. And then you like something comes up. When the man comes around, the very beginning of that would be like my number one, like no doubt.
Awesome.
Love
That's
that
cool.
song. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love how you're more of a country boy than I am, and I grew up in the cornfields of the
Yeah.
Midwest.
Yeah. Jersey is a weird place. You get a little bit of everything. Yeah, I'm sure depending on where you are in New Jersey, where I grew up, it's like a lot of everything. So it's a lot of people in like a very condensed area, but you have like so many different parts of town, and then like you can drive 10 minutes and be in like cow farms, and there's a lot of like boonies and back roads and things of that nature. And I don't know, it's like it's just a very interesting state is the best way I can explain it. I imagine that. Yeah. How was growing up in Illinois?
I mean, it was boring. There wasn't really anything to do. I was right in the middle between St. Louis and Chicago. So I was like
Okay.
3 hours away from either one. And it was just like, and I was always and still to this day, generally would prefer to just stay in and watch a movie or read a book or play a video game or whatever than just go out and do stuff. So like it was fine for me. I didn't like hate living there. But like I can recognize there wasn't a ton of stuff to be doing all the time.
Yeah.
So it kind of is what it is. I don't know. It's funny to have so little to say for living there for whatever it was, 20 whatever years.
But that's
But
how it happens, isn't it?
yeah, that's how it goes.
Funny. Did you play it? That was like your prime RuneScape years?
Oh, dude, for sure. From like when did I start? I think 2006. I think is when I started. And I played.
That sounds about right. I think I might
Yeah.
have literally started at the same time, like the old JavaScript on those like big computers.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then I played off and on. I played solidly for like a while, and then it got more and more intermittent the older I got and the busier I got, and all that.
Did you ever 99 anything? I never did.
Everything, dude.
Oh, you did everything?
100%. I had a max cape. My goal when I first started playing is like I want a 99 in every skill, and I want to do all the quests. Those are like my two goals. And so I got 99 in everything, and then I was working through the quests. I had like 10 left, and my computer just sucked, and it crashed and froze in the middle of the boss fight just over and over and over and over and over. So now that I have a new computer that I'm about to set up, I should be able to go back and finish it someday, which is cool.
Are you playing OSRS or are you playing?
No, I'm a princess. I played RS3. Yeah, I just like the graphics.
Hey, RS3 is actually like we started getting into that. It's so funny. Like I can literally if you spend like one good day on RuneScape, you're already back in the grind. Like it's just it happens immediately. Sure. Like you can run around as much as you want, but at the end of the day, like you're going to start Slayer at some point, and you're just going to keep going.
Yep, 100%.
You're not going to stop. 100%. That's one of those that's like I said, it's dangerous. Like I have this like addictive personality. Like I love MMOs. Like I like Destiny 2 for me during COVID was I couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop.
Oh, that's cool. I never played that one. I played the first Destiny a little bit.
Yeah, Destiny 2 got a lot of flack, and then they did this whole like free release where I think going into their second year, they were like, okay, we're going to make it free to play and then do like the season passing that Fortnite was making very popular at the time.
Yeah.
And it worked. Like everybody came back a lot. I'm saying everybody, a lot of people came back to it. You started doing raids and getting into like the Trials of Osiris and doing that again. And it's just like that competitive bug in me gets itched. And I'm just like, I'm chasing it. I'm like, I need to win. It just comes up. It comes up.
Did you say earlier? I can't remember. Do you still play video games at all, or are you like kind of all off?
No. My buddy last week, he texted me and he was like, "Hey, I want you to download Warhammer," which is so funny to me because this is a guy that I've wanted to get into. Like, I know it's different, World of Warcraft, but like you talk about like the tabletop RPG and like the birth of like MMOs and all that stuff. Warhammer is like one of the pinnacles of that, like and they came out with that Space Marine game and. He's like, dude, because him and I like really played Gears of War together a lot, like from all the way, like we played the big three and then we got into, there was like a few Judgment Day 4 and all that stuff. We kind of like fell off. But that's like, I think part of life. You just, other priorities start taking place at the time. But he wanted me to download Warhammer. And by the way, I'm realizing I have really long-winded ways of answering your questions.
That's why we're here, dude.
So no, I don't play. I don't play video games anymore. That said, I have this strong desire to. My buddy, who I told you about earlier, we were playing RuneScape together in the barracks all the time. He's like, "Dude, we need to get back into it," and he is. Like, he's making time for it. It's just one of those things that I know I'm going to get back into it. I'm going to want to be really, really good at it, and then it's going to be the one thing I'm going to be at work, like training a client, just like checking my.
So here's what you do. Here's what you do, right?
Tell me.
Get back in there. Find all the AFK skills, right? So like wood cutting, fishing, cooking, whatever. Let those run in the background while you're writing or doing whatever. You're multitasking.
Yeah.
And eventually you're gonna look up.
I can just perch it up on my phone. Just tap.
Yeah, you're gonna finish a chapter and look up and be like, oh wow, I leveled up. I can go.
It is that dopamine hit. Just seeing those fireworks go off over your head, hearing the that like.
Yeah, oh, dude, my brother. So like I kind of over time got more and more hit and miss with it, and then stopped for years and years at a time, and then I'd come back for a couple months and then stop or whatever.
Yeah, that's the common experience. Yeah.
Yeah, my brother just never stopped. So he's literally been playing since 2006.
That is
so
incredible.
He did he's literally maxed out skills. You cannot get any more XP. So it's like 200 million. 99 is 13 million experience, right? He's gotten to 200 million on a bunch of them. It's unbelievable. I'm like, how do you do this?
It's that dopamine hit. I'm telling you, it's incredible that they said that.
Yeah, it's this, right? This has been my same thing too. That it's like you just have to be. You got to pick your hobbies, right? It's so tough.
Yeah, I got to check out this booktube channel. I got to see. I got to go back into the NA Summers.
Yeah, I do too, actually.
Yeah,
I do too. I didn't realize that you were doing booktube. I've seen your name pop up, of course, right? But I don't know. I didn't realize you had your own channel for some reason.
Yeah, we're going to check it out. But I think I echo those sentiments. if I play video games again, it's gonna. I know it won't. Like there were times where I played video games and also wrote and also read. It was just like at the time. Again, I was still in the middle of California, very much just on my own, and so it was very. I had all this time, and in the later in the day. Let's see. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's what I hear too. People. I mean, there's
No,
so many amazing
100%.
stories people talk about now.
100%. And I also love the stories that spawn from like video games. Like The Last of Us is one of the most incredible stories I think ever in any medium.
Yeah, that's one I want to do too.
And I remember watching the playthroughs of both those games. I never had a PlayStation. I was always I always had an Xbox. Not for any other reason than I just had an Xbox. I didn't have a PlayStation.
Sure.
And I never played it, so I only watched people play it. And that I remember watching when the very first Last of Us came out and the opening chapter happens, and I was just like, what? And I was just locked in. I was locked in. I was like, this is it. And the show did a really good job. I loved the show. That Nick Offerman episode, I think, is one of the best. If you know who Nick Offerman is.
I do. I didn't watch the show.
Okay.
But I do know who he is, and I do remember hearing about this episode because it's original for the show, right?
Yes. So because it's kind of like a backstory of a character that's in the game, and it's like totally original to the show. It is one of the best episodes of a TV show I have ever watched.
Wow, that's so cool.
It's up there. I actually didn't even think about that until I watched that episode. You know what I mean? It's good. Yeah. Alex.
That's cool. He's back. Yeah, dude. That's why I want to. So I played a little bit of Bloodborne when it came out, and I got so frustrated so quick. Like it just the difficulty is one thing, but like just give me more save points. That's what I want.
Yeah, give me something. Elden Ring. I loved Elden Ring. There was something when Elden Ring came back. God of War. Yeah,
God of War I loved so much. Yeah.
Elden Ring's story is so underrated. Like I can't express enough. Like I talk about it as an inspiration for me. It heavily is. Like the lore videos for that, and again, George R.R. Martin worked on it, so he worked on like the history of the world. It is so fascinating, everything that makes up that world. And so, is Bloodborne the only Souls game you ever played?
Yeah, I haven't done any of the other ones either, but.
I only touched Dark Souls like maybe 2, and I had the same experience. Like I was just like, all right, like I'm gonna put it down. And I mean, I wanted to play it. I'm not good enough. Like exactly. And then so I was like, for some reason there was like this thing in me. I was like, I need to play Elden Ring. Like there is no exception. I must play this game, and so I did, and I was so happy that I dove in and just went head first. And like I said, I got that addictive personality. I watched all the DLC content because I knew, again, I was like, if I go back and play it, I'm not going to put it down. Elden Ring is worth the grind. That said, similar to Malazan, it's just may not be for different reasons. It may not work for everybody. Sure. It's just like it is, but it does have a lot. Like I was reading Malazan, and I'm like, the first of just the first 5 books I've read, I'm like, it feels like George R.R. Martin read a little Malazan before writing the history of this world. Like it really does, which obviously wouldn't shock me. I couldn't tell you where his inspiration came from, and then obviously, I think is his name Hideteki Miyazaki. I'm going to get his name wrong.
Yeah, it's something Miyazaki. Yeah,
the Miyazaki, right? Yeah, the creator of the Souls universe and all that. Obviously, like Alex just said, he pulled from Berserk, and that's actually one of the reasons why I got into Berserk. With obviously, other than the praise that this series has gotten, but Elden Ring, that like parallel really pulled me to read Berserk.
There you go, Hidetaka.
Hopefully, I'm saying that right, Miyazaki. We can't ask you. We can't ask you.
So there was a time in all my free time when I was starting to learn Japanese, and so like the pronunciation is still one of them that I remember. I didn't get super far, to be fair, but
okay. Hey, this is why I need to know.
Okay, yeah.
I started reading Garden of the Minute. Yeah. There's just something about Malazan that's so like, I don't know, parallel. It's that feeling of just not knowing, like just not knowing what's going on. like being in this world, being a part of this experience, and just you're kind of like this side character, you know. And there was this fascinating video essay on YouTube. I watch a lot of these, like on historical figures as well. Like, I don't know if you know the channel Horses, but like they just draw me in. But there's this fascinating video essay on Souls games, and I think it was specifically Elden Ring. Oh no, it was all like Miyazaki's work, and it just talks about this character. There's a narrative reason why your character comes back to life. You're just like this tortured soul, and it was one of the most fascinating video essays I've ever watched. And going back to how much video games and the stories within video games are so enthralling. The Souls games, I guess, have this very unique storytelling method that he is so insistent on putting in all of his games. He doesn't want people to novelize his. He's talking about Elden Ring being novelized and like people being able to read a story with it. Apparently, he doesn't want that to happen because it's just so he wants to keep it in the world. But there was a rumor that there might be an anime being made of it, and I don't know how true that is, but cool. I'm on board of watching it.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of well, for Elder Scrolls here, yeah, being original too. I've heard so much. I played a tiny bit of Skyrim back in the day, like when it first came out, but not a ton. That's another one I really want to get into.
Yeah, me as well. Not enough. Definitely didn't play enough.
Yeah. Another video, like legendary video game, like lore, history, depth, everything that I found through the anime is called Nier Automata.
Okay.
It's very sci-fi. You know, it's as hard sci-fi as it can really be. And the anime was great. Yeah, the anime was awesome. It's sort of the basic premise you start out with is like humans have fled Earth and gone to the moon because machine life forms were starting to basically, you know, run away. The AI stuff in the machines was starting to, you know, that whole trope, right?
Gotcha.
So humans escape to the moon and they create androids that are sort of combo human machines that are going out to combat the machines and save humanity. That's sort of the starting premise. And
that
then
as
you, yeah, right. And then as you go through, Alex, that's one of the best things ever. As you go through the story, you learn like there's so many twists and turns. It's not that simple. It's not what you think. There's so much stuff going on. And I'm just like, oh, this is based on a video game. That's interesting. So I Googled that, and the game is apparently very beloved. It's got like 20 different endings depending on how you play it. There's a ton of games that led up to the one that they adapted for this anime. And like, there's just so much there. And there's so many, like they're all interconnected. And like, so I think people who play the game probably like the anime even more from what I can tell. Yeah, the game is the original thing. I believe. Because that's right. There is manga too, light novels at least, right? Actually, now that I say that, I'm not sure which one came first. But anyway,
Nier Automata.
Yeah, it's how do you say it? There you go. But yeah, fantastic. And the anime is only 24 episodes long, so it's not a big commitment. But it's one of those that you like. You might actually really dig it because you know you've seen some high quality stuff. You started out the gate with anime with high quality, right?
I really got thrown into the. Yeah. I got lucky to be surrounded by people who are like, "Oh, watch that! Like you like this, watch this." You know, like they're like, "You like Vikings, watch Vinland Saga," and I was like hooked. I was like, "This is so sick!" Yeah.
So that's another one like that where like you gotta pay attention. If you just kind of space out, you might miss something very important that's very subtle, but it's
okay.
The character work is so good, which is mind blowing for it being about robots, and like it's awesome, dude. It's awesome.
Okay, noted. Nier Automata. Okay,
more love for The Last of Us. Yeah, dude.
I'll have to come back. Oh yeah, Last of Us is so good. Nier Automata. Okay, noted. That is probably my next. Oh, as far as anime, I'm finishing Attack on Titan. I don't know. I've been watching Berserk here and there. I think I'm just going to stick to the manga for now and then eventually watch all of the anime that's available for it. I think my next one, I've been told I will probably be able to watch something like, is there a Vagabond anime?
I should know this.
Accidentally on FaceTime. Look at that. That's so sick.
I should know that. I want to say there's not, but I could
Yeah,
be
I feel like maybe
making this
there's
up.
not. Okay, so then I guess Nier Automata will be my next. Especially if it's
You-
only 24 episodes, I should probably just bang that out.
yeah,
I
it's
love how
not bad.
deep like video games can go. Like just the adaptations for video games and just the endless possible. I mean, most stories have that. When I was working on when I started writing, it was very much um, wanting to build a world other people can create in, like wanting to make a playground for
Ooh,
people
cool.
to write stories in.
Yeah,
Kind of similar because you grow up with universe like Star Wars universe, Lord of the Rings universe.
yeah.
My goal was to do that and to create something in which people can play a tabletop RPG game and send stories in, and then it could be something that maybe they work on and publish, and then I can enable that. That would be so sick. That's like
That's
my
awesome.
ultimate dream. Um,
That's amazing.
and video games, I feel like if you're somebody who created something like Nier Automata, I'm probably saying that like such a northeasterner.
I don't know how to
It
say it. Yeah, I don't know.
Nier Automata. It just is like you create this thing, and then all of these other things come together for other people, and those branches. I think that's the stuff that really invigorates me. And so I
Yeah.
will finish. I didn't realize the season 4 of Attack on Titan is 30 episodes. I was like,
They
oh,
drag the
somebody
ending
told me
out a
to.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, oh, it's not that long. It's like the last season's only 4 episodes. And I was like, oh, okay. And then you go on, there's 4 seasons. I'm like, oh, that's weird. This one is 30 episodes long. I mean, I'm hooked up to this point. So,
Oh,
um,
it's very worth it. But
yeah, I mean, everything that I just learned at the end of season 3, I'm like, oh,
yeah,
I mean, I don't want to spoil anything on this live stream, but like that was absolutely amazing.
it's so good, dude. And it
So
keeps getting
cool.
better too. It was funny, like I was watching it as it was coming out. So it's like the end, they're like, okay, final season. I'm like, yes. And you watch it, and then they're like, coming soon, final season part 2. And I'm like, ah, all
You're
right.
like,
So now I gotta wait
wait,
for that. And
it's
then they
another
end that. It's
year.
like, actually, we're gonna end it with a movie. So I gotta wait for that. And it's just
Oh my
it was
God.
funny. But
They were really riding the wave, and it was all worth
they
it.
did.
That's what
All worth
matters.
it. All worth it.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
I'm on board. Like I think either way, I think it's fascinating how they were able to not really tell you anything and keep you hooked for so long. And then just slowly, like the world building is done in a very unique way. I guess I'm going to relate it back to Malazan and be totally wrong. But as far as my experience with it so far, I feel like the little like pieces that they throw at you, or they at least they throw. I feel like I was slowly picking them up, and like I want to guess what's going to happen, but there is just no way you're going to guess what happens.
Yeah. Yep.
So they just like dangle the carrot, and they keep pulling you along,
Mhm.
and it is worth every second. People told me like there was stuff that dragged, like political stuff in the show that dragged, and I feel like I got through that stuff, and it didn't
Yeah, it
really
didn't bother
drag
me.
for me. Yeah, I was like, this is like totally fine. I feel like
Yeah.
it adds to the story a lot.
Mhm.
The one thing in anime so far that I feel like I'm just like, all right, is the very loud exclamations of like defending. But these are also very important parts of the story. So it's like I get it, but it's just like the one thing where I'm like, man, if I'm yelling in this conversation, and it's where I just have to like, what
Yeah.
is that? What do they call it? Not limiting belief. Just like
Suspend?
yes,
Suspend disbelief.
yes, exactly. That's one part where that's kind of just like, but that's not a rag on it at all. Like I still am enjoying it. It's just one thing where I'm like, and I just want to kind of get past those parts. But I'm listening very intently, um, and I know that probably is an unpopular opinion. But yeah, that's the one thing, having watched not much anime, that I'm just like, all right, if this happened in like a live action show, I would probably turn it off. But the fact
Sure.
that it is happening in anime is keeping me going, if that makes
Yeah.
any sense.
I totally get
Um,
that.
yeah, because I guess it's about buckling in. It's about just like this is what this is, and that's fine. And
Sure.
and I do have to do that with anime every once in a while. It doesn't happen that frequently. It happened a little early on, but
Mhm.
some of them are such cool moments that it's like, all right, this is badass. Like
Yeah,
I can mess with that. Like,
for sure.
wow, I'm forgetting Commander Irvin,
Yeah.
right?
Speech? Yeah, dude.
He's a baller.
He is
He
indeed.
is a baller.
Are you
Oh my
watching the
God.
English dub, I assume?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched.
I was just gonna say his voice actor is one of my favorite English voice actors. Period. He's fantastic.
Okay, he's in. I feel like I heard his voice. I'm probably wrong. I feel like I heard his voice in Vinland Saga somewhere, but I feel like
He
he's
probably
too
was.
important.
He's done a lot of stuff. He's very popular.
It seems like too like what is it? I want to say important, but like it's just so visceral, I guess, in the performance that it's just like you're like, wow, okay, like it hits hard. What's the name of the character in Vinland Saga? He's only in the first season. He's a very important character. He's not only in the first season. I don't want to say that because he's technically not. What is the name of this character? If we say it now, it might ruin everything.
Yeah, I'm scared now.
I don't want
Is
to say. Have
he
you
is he
watched
older
the?
or younger?
You've watched the show or you read the manga?
Yep. Yeah, I've watched it.
He's middle aged.
Okay, I think I know who you mean.
Yeah. I don't want to say anything other than that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really connected with just like connecting with characters that you don't initially think that you're going to is one of the most fascinating parts, I think, of story in general. And that character in particular was definitely one of those for me. I was like, oh wow, okay.
That's actually I have two points on that. One is you have a good one of those coming up as you continue working through Of War and Ruin. There's a great example of that. That's all I will say.
I feel like I know who it is.
You might.
I think I liked them in book one, which sounds crazy, based on everything. And I know I shouldn't have, but I think we're talking about the same person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I should have talked about this offline because
we can end the stream and talk about it. But I think that it's also a segue. This might be a good note to end on because it segues into this nicely, and this would be good. So, favorite character in all of fiction is an unbelievably difficult question. Darth Vader is a cool choice, but
that is an excellent choice if you want to talk about like complex, and just like nothing kind of worked the way that they wanted it to. Like Darth Vader is absolutely a great choice. That's so tough for me. What would you put Dalinar as your?
Dalinar and Kaladin are both, and Shallan also. I've never been one of those people who hated on Shallan. But yeah, those three are all big.
Yeah, in the first book, I enjoyed her perspective like plenty. I know that Words of Radiance is supposed to be more like her narrative primarily. Okay, I really like the convergence in Way of Kings. By the way, I can't wait to get more into Dalinar based on you, John. Like your praise for that character has got me very excited to kind of dive more into him. Favorite fictional character? That is challenging. A part of me wants to say Glocka.
Yeah, that's a great one.
It wants to say Logan Nine Fingers.
Great one.
And I know First Law is kind of like a cop out just because the characters are done like the best I feel like they probably can be. That said, I think characterization. I think Steven Erikson wins that one out. But character as a whole, I'm going off pure growing up like influence. It's for me it is between, and this is so annoying because they're both like these paragons. It's going to be Obi-Wan and it's going to be Aragorn. Like those are just the guys for me.
That's fair.
Yeah, I can't tell you which one between the two.
Yeah. I mean, those are great choices.
Yeah, just something which is so funny because as far as like I'm dipping back into my writing a little bit. As far as my writing goes, I'm more so fascinated with what happens when you take a hero like that and you take it all away from them, you know? Like, so I guess that would be Punisher.
Yeah, right? There you go. Yeah.
Like that anti-hero, like I love that, but I love the concept of like, can they can they go from this dark place and return to that place where they were the one that was looked up to? Like, that's so fascinating to me.
Super. Yeah. I'm having more come to mind as I'm sitting here. So on the you mentioned Erickson on the Malazan. Animander Rake is definitely up there for me. He is unbelievable. I'm also am a massive Krupp fan, and I think that he's underappreciated.
Yeah.
You can go even like the Harry Potter side with Snape. I mean, there's a bunch of Harry Potter characters that I love a lot, but Snape is probably like the best character, quote unquote.
Yeah, his arc was. I mean, I'm not like a crazy Harry Potter fan, which I know is probably people are probably gonna click off. I don't not like it. I just don't like it as much as I like other things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Snape was one of the more fascinating characters, at least throughout the movies. Like, I only watched the movies. I read the first couple books when I was very young. My sister loved the books growing up, and so I would go to the theater with her and watch the movies. I was way more of that, like, sucker kid. It's like, no, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings.
Sure.
Like that was But yeah, Snape. When everything, his Snape's arc happened. I'm trying to give you time. Also, I want to give you time so we get to your favorite characters. Snape had a fascinating arc. Yeah.
Yeah, he was great. The Tyrion is a great one from Game of Thrones, or Song of Ice and Fire, whatever.
That's
Tyrion and Jaime. I mean, there's a lot of good ones there.
Yeah.
A lot of good characters in that series. I've only read the first. Book. Oh, really? Jeez, dude.
Yeah.
That was probably the first series I read where I was like, wow, these are like real people. Like,
it
just blew my mind. This is another one you haven't read, but I love, especially Rand in Wheel Time. His journey throughout the whole story is crazy.
Yeah, I'm kind of mad my first Wheel of Time experience was the show, if I'm being totally honest.
I mean, it's only up from there, man.
Yeah.
Only up from there.
Like everything we've been talking about, like, I get if people like that. It's not that I didn't like it. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoy other things. And the ending of the second season, my suspension of disbelief just completely went out the window.
Really? I didn't finish season 2. I actually liked season 1. Like, it was
different
from the books.
I liked season 1. Yeah.
Yeah. The ending of it I wasn't a big fan of. Like what they did in the last episode, but other than that, as a whole, I was like, yeah, this is enjoyable, whatever. Yes. And we tried to start season 2 and we got like halfway through and just kind of forgot about it.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah, that happens. What would you say? What's your favorite? Like, now that we're on the topic, first, did we get your favorite character? Like, assertively, like one or.
I don't know if I have a single favorite character is my issue. Another one I'll throw in there who's very off the wall is I love the Sweeney Todd movie that Johnny Depp and Tim Burton did. And I think that character is awesome too.
Okay. Huh.
Anyway, I can't pick a single favorite.
We have some options. It is so hard to pick a single favorite, but I'll say this: Darth Vader is, like, assertively a very good character to assert. Like, that is an excellent choice. I know we were going to end, but I just want one last question.
Oh, we don't have to end. We can whatever. Alex. This is for you. I'm pulling up this comment for you. Finish the Cell Saga so that you can see how cool Gohan is.
Okay. Okay. Cell Saga. That's 2 votes for Cell Saga, 1 vote for not. Favorite live action TV show of all time? What would you say? What would you put up there?
Man. I really loved Game of Thrones up until the very end of it. And that bummed me out. I love Dexter. Big Dexter.
Okay, I hear good things. I have never watched it.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And I know I know I should. I tried a few times, never continued.
I mean, I get that. It's the style is interesting. It's kind of different.
There's a new one coming out, yeah.
Is there another one? I know they came back and made a new thing like a year ago or 2 years ago or something. It was solid. I still like the original
coming out with something new, like the origin story.
Oh, maybe they are. I'll watch it, of course.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of the same actors. I've like seen commercials and stuff.
I need to Google that. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad, obviously everyone loves Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
I never watched Better Call Saul, but I know it's supposed to be amazing also.
Yes, I've heard. I like Bob Odenkirk. I like that actor a lot.
Yeah, he's great. Right now, I'm watching The Boys. I like that a lot. That's definitely up there. Definitely up there in my favorites.
Where are you in The Boys?
We are. We finished season 2. We're like maybe 2 or 3 episodes into season 3.
Okay, I have not watched the most recent season, but you have seen the scene in the very beginning of season 3 that dropped your jaw. You're like, oh
man,
they're not going to get grosser, and then they just pull it off.
Oh,
like, okay.
Yep. I remember the scene was happening, and I was like, they're gonna do this, and then it was so much crazier than what I was expecting.
Yeah,
So, it was a lot.
That was like that show is so fascinating. It's like I'm not into like the super gory, gross stuff when it gets extra, but like it fits so well in that show.
It does.
Just because like everything would be like you talked about in your video today. Like this is how superheroes would be if it were real. Like it has to be. Like there is no other way that it would be. Like this is it. And yeah, that is 100%. Like it fits the gore in that show fits so well from like the very first episode to where it's at now. Okay, so The Boys. Do you have a favorite like?
There's got to be more. I'm just not thinking about the top of my head.
Like it's hard. It's hard because like I agree. Game of Thrones is like it is one of the greatest shows, and I wasn't mad with. I'll get specific about this because I get very passionate about how they really blew it. Because that said, I don't know what it's like to be a showrunner and get an opportunity to do something, and also having been doing something for so many years, like I have no idea what that experience is like. That said, HBO was like, "Hey, we'll give you as many episodes, as many seasons as you want." And they were like, "Nah, we're fine. We'll figure it out." And then they end it the way they ended it. And again, I don't have a problem narratively with what happened. I have a problem with how it happened. Like it was, and the film was done so. And I don't talk negative. I try not to talk negatively about anything like this. Sure. But that was one that just really ripped my heart out. So like, I am like deeply affected by it.
I get it.
Yeah, it was just everything that happened in that show was fine. It was the way that they went about it. It just felt so rushed, so inauthentic is like really a good way to put it for me.
Yeah, that is a good way to put it. I agree. It also made me upset that I was like immediately I was like I could have wrote a better ending than that.
Yeah, when you think like and you know, it's like I don't think that regularly, but to think to have that thought and like be genuine and know like how maybe at like whatever time that thought process is, I'm not a good writer. Like maybe I think I could probably do that better.
Like, I'll have to. I don't want to spoil anything for people, but like maybe after the thing, I want to tell you my idea and you let me know if you think it would have been a good ending.
Please,
I think it'd be great.
I think Game of Thrones, like cinematography wise, that's what knocks it. It keeps it in my top 5. Like just the like all of the heart and all of the heart that went into that show. Period. It keeps it in my top 5. Peaky Blinders, number 1.
I need to watch that. Yeah.
I tried watching it once or twice. I tried watching the first episode. I was like, nah, put it down. Came back to it. I watched the second episode. I was like, nah, put it down. Came back to it. And from there, it was, I don't know what it was. It just clicked. And I've watched it like 3 times since.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It is fascinating. It's Cillian Murphy, all of the actors in that show, again, same thing. And it's so well done, so well filmed, the music, everything in it. And then Vikings is number 2 for me. That one is number 2.
I got to watch that one. Yeah, both of these I got to watch. Yeah. I don't watch a ton of TV, but yeah.
My ultimate dream, like Ragnar Lothbrok in Vikings, and I'm saying it, and you're not gonna get the reference. If you watch the show, you'll get it. Like almost immediately. This actor did such a fascinating job with his character, just like Cillian Murphy did with Thomas Shelby and Peaky Blinders, which I think is the common theme between my top 2 shows. My goal is to get to a point where I can be Hadrian Marlowe and be like that type of character. in an adaptation. I was like, if I could just be Hadrian Marlowe.
That'd be cool.
Oh, that'd be so sick. And Peaky Blinders and Vikings are. I will recommend those shows, like probably the same way you recommend Dexter. That would be probably the two that I would throw out there. Talking about real quick, Hadrian Marlowe, and then we can. I know we just kind of gone on forever. Hadrian Marlowe and Darrow. I don't want to compare the two, but I want to talk about like kind of how life experiences can. I think reading either one at a different point in your life, you may connect with one more than you connect with the other. I think when I found both of these characters, I've connected more with Hadrian Marlowe. And they're in two different stories, but I mean, them being in first person, it's just like you're bound to.
Sure, yeah, it's hard to not compare them a little bit.
Exactly. That said, like Darrow's awesome, but Hadrian Marlowe, I have found, I guess because Empire of Silence starts and he's like, not him writing in because I actually said this once. Someone was like, actually, he's not 30 years old. He's like hundreds of or thousands of years old. This, like, yeah, because the framing narrative is he's writing the story in Empire of Silence from the future, but his character is supposed to be in his 30s. He's like writing at 30 years old, I think. Oh, I need water. And maybe it was because when I picked it up, I was like about to be 30 or something like that. It was just so his arc up to the point that you're at. How do you feel about Hadrian Marlowe and where he is if you were to reflect back to where he was in Empire of Silence to where he is now at the end of Kingdoms of Death?
Yeah.
Right before you go into Ashes of Man, what are your thoughts?
Oh, man, wow. So I'm gonna try my absolute best to keep this as vague as I can while still talking about this, but
it's tough.
Empire of Silence, Hadrian. It's actually funny. Reading that book was my first time where I was just like, this is an unreliable narrator. Like I identified it while I was reading it, which normally it's like in retrospect kind of thing, right? But I was just like, okay, so his opinion of himself is a certain thing, and how other people see him is very different, and his experiences are what they are. And just his journey, like to me, Empire of Silence was like the hubris book for Hadrian, sort of.
Okay.
And like just seeing that's how it clicked in my head, at least, right? Was like how he views himself at the beginning, and then everything that happens through up until the thing that happens 2/3 of the way through. Up until then, you're kind of seeing that hubris take place, and then after that you kind of get this different flavor of more of the kind of scholar side of him and things like that. That's just it felt like he was starting to be more honest with himself.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Wow. I see. This is why I asked. I have not had that thought.
That's cool.
Like, that hasn't even crossed my mind. I'm like, oh, like he's just telling this is because you're talking about the framing narrative with Hadrian Marlowe talking about. And I don't anyone listening, it's not a spoiler up to this point to know that the guy writing the story from the very first page of the first book tells you he's writing it from the future.
Page 1. Yeah, page 1.
Yeah. That said, that never clicked me. Yeah, he is being more honest with himself as the book goes on. That is so, as the story goes on. That's so true. Wow.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's going to further my enjoyment.
Yeah. I feel smart. Ooh.
Yeah,
okay.
that's going to further my enjoyment because that's a great point. He really has been. Wow.
Yeah, and then after that point where just kind of he keeps just feeling like he keeps having to take on these bigger challenges and gets in and over his head and all that stuff. It I don't know. It's weird thinking back on like books 2 and 3 where he does have a lot of self-confidence, but at the same time, a lot of doubt and a lot of kind of stumbling his way through, but he also has a plan, but it never quite goes right. And it's like this weird, it's almost hard for me to think back on to connect all the dots. Like it's been such a logical and like really well laid out arc, I think. But then when I try to think back on each point, it feels almost difficult to connect all the dots, which is kind of backwards. But anyway, like I feel like books 2 and 3, it felt like so much of that of just like his growth and his like his legend growing and just how other people see him. And then in book 4, the tables turn a little bit in certain ways. That felt
good pun.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. If you know, you know. And that felt which was so you reading through Berserk, I'm sure that's going to be fun to see there's so much Berserk, especially in book 4.
I read a little bit more today, and I think we're slowly building to I missed all of that stuff in Kingdoms of Death if it was there.
You're gonna be able to get to see. You'll be like,
I'll have it in reverse.
Oh, dude.
Okay,
yeah, which I think will be very cool.
Yeah, because I know it's coming. Like I feel like with the first volume of the manga of Berserk, you kind of like have this idea.
Yeah. So you've not had it ruined for you,
but you just don't.
Like no one spoiled the thing. Okay, good.
No one spoiled the thing. I don't even know. See, I don't even know. I talked to it with my buddy at work, and he goes, "Oh," that's all he does. He goes, "Oh," like, all right, like he does a great job of not like really even hinting. He doesn't even hint. I don't even ask. I'm like, I don't even know what to ask.
That's how it should be. Going blind, just keep reading.
Okay.
I think everything hits harder when you're not expecting it in Berserk, I think.
Okay.
So.
I'm on board.
I mean, that's how everything is. That's a silly thing to say.
I think speaking of that, and speaking of Hadrian Marlowe, I think there are probably people who get into Sun Eater who are like, oh, I just can't get past. Like, I know he survives. I'm like, he does the suspension of disbelief unbelievably well. That there was one point in Howling Dark where I was like, I had a thought. I'm not going to say what the thought was. I had a thought, and I was like, eh. And then literally the next page, that went away. I was like,
I think I had the same thought. Yep.
I was like, whoa. I think it almost felt like it was on purpose that he like builds up to this, and
it probably was.
He goes, they're gonna bite. He goes, they're gonna bite so hard, and dude, it had to be on purpose. If you get him on, you have to ask, because I have not had the ability to get people to ask that question. That is something that you have to ask, because if you felt it, and I'm knowing you felt that same thing.
100%.
That has to have been on purpose. It has to have been on purpose.
It must have been. I think you're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that character's journey is just, it's been so satisfying and so interesting, and so like, I don't even know like what words to put to it. Like, so much has happened. These books are huge, and they're all from his POV, right?
Yes.
Like, it's so much happens in these books.
Yep. And it spans like so many years.
Yeah.
And
one
ages.
chapter, it's 50 years just flying to this other planet or whatever. I'm like, wow.
He has arguably made one of the like perfect, like narratively structured reasons for aging while not actually physically aging so much. Like it's perfect. It's done so perfecally.
It's so great.
Which is one of the reasons why I like, if there's a show, I just want a shot. Just put me in an audition. Just give me a shot. That would be so cool. Hadrian Marlowe.
I would love to see it.
Him, and then and I'll revert back to like, there are two things if I ever act, I want to act in, and that is Darth Malgus / Darth Revan, and it is thumbs up, look at that.
There we go.
Or Hadrian Marlowe, and those are the three characters I would like, if I can get into those universes and just be able to. It's another thing about being obsessed with storytelling. That's one of those facets of life that I'm just like, that would be so cool.
I completely. I think you're gonna really love Rand and the Wheel of Time then when you eventually read it.
I will. I mean that genuinely. It's just.
I know you do. Yeah, I trust you. Yeah.
Yeah, that one is like 2030, like that.
Yeah.
If I'm being totally
some time.
Honest. Like, yeah, that one is like, I have so much. I have so much that I want to read.
Same. It's hard, dude.
It is so hard, and there are so many other big, like the War of Light and Shadow that you're getting into. And again, I just want to reiterate how awesome it is that Jenny Wirtz sent you those books. That is so
I can't
sick.
believe it. I can't believe it.
It's unbelievable. And that is being on Malazan right now, and I've picked your brain about it, I believe, and then others, they say that, don't read Malazan side by something like that. It's just, I know John's doing it, right? Like he's planning, his intention is to do that.
Yeah, I think he said he's at least going to do Gardens of the Moon between the two Wirtz books. I think he said he's not committed, but he's going to do it, right? Like we know he's going to love Gardens of the Moon. So like he's going to wind up doing it and just go back and forth every month.
He is his ability to like pick up on notes inside of a story and then articulate it.
He has a gift. Yeah.
Yeah. It's truly like there is nobody better suited to read Malazan than him.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oop, we back? Froze a little bit for a second. Maybe. We still a little frozen. That's okay. Catch up on this. Yes, for sure. Definitely please read Sun Eater. Please read Sun Eater. It's fantastic. It is my new obsession. I cannot talk about it enough. I'm putting off the later books. Oh, we're back. There we go.
I lost my connection. Okay, and my lightsaber turned on.
I was entertaining. Somebody mentioned also, speaking of Revan, Knights of the Old Republic, one of the favorite games. We were talking about that earlier. Yeah.
Knights of the Old Republic. I had no idea when I was playing that game. Like I was just like, oh, this is Star Wars. This is cool. And then I was actually awestruck when the flip happens.
I don't know the flip. I didn't play this game. I feel like I missed out.
I don't know if I could spoil it for you. I don't think it matters. It's essentially it's a Darth Revan flip. Like you find out.
Oh, okay. I see.
I could be not doing this justice. So maybe who put that Knights of the Old Republic comment up? Was that NA?
Yeah.
Please go ahead and elaborate more on the story of Knights of the Old Republic for Jake, if you can. There is a flip that happens where you find out I think it was you are Revan, but I don't want to be.
Oh, like a POV flip.
Yeah, and then something changes, and it like the story of the Knights of the Old Republic is. I mean, it's all the Old Republic stuff. It's the most fascinating. That one pulled me more into Star Wars than I ever thought I was going to. I thought I was just going to get enjoyment out of playing a Star Wars game, and I got far more, like through the story.
That's really cool.
Of it. We were talking about Sun Eater, yeah, and Hillier Marlowe.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, I am really looking forward to hearing your thoughts on Ashes of Man. I wonder, has I don't know if Alex is still here, and I know Chris is read it or reading it in the middle of it.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't remember, but I would just offline just to discuss that stuff in the group chat would be.
We have to. Yeah.
Oh yes, Alex has read it because Ashes of Man is his favorite as well.
That's right. I remember him saying that. That's right.
Yes. So I really do want to, if we can just get offline and chat about that at some point.
That would be fun.
I didn't realize that it's past my bedtime.
There you go.
No joke. I am usually in bed by now, but I'm like glad that we've been having this conversation. Okay, yes, that's what Chris, I thought.
There you go.
That's what I thought. Right. We're gonna have to talk about all this stuff offline. If you have been listening to our conversation about Sun Eater, or you catch it later, or whatever, I think we did a pretty good job of not spoiling anything.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think when he gets, I feel good. Yeah, he gets into Kingdoms of that book. First of all, every book after the other has been my favorite. I don't know if do you share that sentiment, or Demon in White your solid number one? I feel like you've talked about this on a video, so maybe I'm
Howling Dark and Demon in White were like so hard for me to pick between.
Yep.
Kingdoms of Death I feel like is right in there too. I might give Howling Dark and Demon in White just ever so slightly, but it's like A+ and A++, basically, right? Like it's so hard for me to pick.
I think after Ashes of Man, I enjoyed Kingdoms of Death in hindsight more. I think that was why I feel that way.
Gotcha.
That is why I feel that way.
I'd be interested to get to
before, after Kingdoms of Death, I think Howling Dark. I think it was clearly ahead of Demon in White for me. That said, like you said, like it was A+ to A++. It was just that moment in Howling Dark that I was just, all right, I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah, that was like, I don't often have those like truly my jaw dropped in the middle of reading a chapter. Like that doesn't happen to me that much, and that happened then. And like, oh,
we lost your camera.
I lost my camera. I think we might be
we're breaking batteries here.
Let's see what we got here. It honestly probably did die.
We're back for a second.
We'll switch to the bad camera for a second. We'll wrap this up.
Whoa, you got multi-cameras. That's crazy.
Yeah, I got a nicer camera hooked up for the most part, but I think the battery died. So
all right.
We'll be here.
Wow, you're set up. You're ready to go. You had the backup.
I tried, dude. I don't know. All right, last thing right before we go, Sun Eater 7 for me. That's my most excited one because it's also sounding like we might not get Red God until 2026.
Yeah, I am about to get into Dark Age probably before either I think early next year or the end of this year. And then I'm probably going to want to go right into Lightbringer. So that's my expectation. That said, where I'm currently at, Sun Eater 7. I haven't finished Disquiet Gods. I just watched Patrick's video on the Devils today that he put out.
I need to watch that.
And I was like, all right, I mean, what else did I expect? Like this is supposed to be like it's Joe Abercrombie. The man is a master of his craft. If I were to, Joe Abercrombie was one of my intros to fantasy, and I was spoiled, like having had that happen. Tad Williams was my other, and I'm excited for when you get into that because Tad Williams is just one of those writers. He just really, yeah.
All right, man. You need to go to bed. I should probably get some dinner here before I waste away.
Yeah, I got to eat my pre-bed kiwis.
Yeah, kiwis are underrated.
Kiwis are so super underrated.
Green ones or gold ones?
Gold ones. I'm sponsored by Big Kiwi. Yeah.
Good for you. Wow. Okay. Yeah, you definitely know what's up if you do the gold ones.
Oh yeah, the gold ones are so good. But yeah, we'll hop off. I want to hear the Game of Thrones thing real quick, and then we'll.
Yes, for sure. We definitely got to do that. But before we hop off, thank you everybody who watched this or anyone who watches the replay. This is amazing. We talked for like 2.5 hours. This is crazy. But like this has been so fun. I'm so glad that I met you doing this booktube thing. Like I could talk to you for another 2.5 hours. Like this.
Yeah, man, that was a great time. The live chats and being able to interact with people who are watching. First of all, that's so cool. Live to be able to have those conversations, and also obviously having a conversation with you, hearing about before the call and then. Yeah, or call stream, and then obviously it's just easy to talk to you. Obviously we've done it for 2 hours and 20 minutes.
For sure. Awesome, man. Well, thank you again everybody for hanging out with us in the chat. If you watch this on replay, hit us up with the team replay, let us know what you thought, and we'll see y'all later. All right, peace.